Hey everyone, this is Matt, and in today's video I have for you something very special. This video is going to be like a mix of my Labrynth deck profile and my first ever YCS experience. So for those of you who've been following my channel, I've been posting small videos, I've been posting pictures, I posted an April Fool's video, right? I went to the 250th Yu-Gi-Oh! 250th YCS Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series in Los Angeles. I just got back this morning. I have a lot to talk about with that. I'm going to talk about my experience in that YCS, and I'm going to talk about Labrynth deck building. And yeah, this is probably going to be one of the longest videos I've made on my channel, especially if you in terms of deck profiles. This is probably the longest video I'm going to have. But if you don't want to watch all of it, just I do chapters, right? So literally, like, just look at the breakdown. Like, if you just don't give a shit, you just want to go see the deck list, just jump ahead, like jump to the end, jump to the chapters, right? Everything is broken down by chapters. So I'm gonna talk about my experience a little bit, then I'm gonna talk about my deck, then I'm gonna talk about my experience again, and I'm gonna talk about my deck again. So why am I gonna do that? So basically, this event was 2 days. It was a Saturday and Sunday event, and on the main event took 2 days, but only the top 256 players from day one. And by the way, this tournament had 3,200 players. It was one of the largest YCSs in a while. Yeah, so of those 3,250 players, of those 3,200 players, whoever had the 256 with the highest records would make it to day two, finish out the Swiss round, and then go into single elimination. So it was 12 rounds of Swiss, 9 rounds on the first day. You have to finish on the first day with no worse than 2 losses. Although 2 losses, 1 tie was okay. And then if you did, or better than that, then you make 256, and then you go to the next day, day 2, right? And then you play 3 more rounds of Swiss, and then after those 3 rounds, the top 64 will go to single elimination. So that was the format of this tournament. For those of you who did not know, they were all day events. Day 1, we got there like 8 in the morning, and we were there till like 10:30, 11 p.m. It was the longest day, most exhausting day of Yu-Gi-Oh! I've ever had. But it was, even though obviously I did not get first place, despite what my last video about Labrynth said. So for those of you who are unaware, I posted a video on April 1st, which is April Fool's, where I did where I showcased my first place YCS Labrynth deck profile there. It was a joke, April Fool's. A lot of people in my comment section didn't get it, or took a while to get. That is not the real profile. That is not. I did not get first place. So yeah, it was an April Fool's joke. And for those of you who talking about, oh, is that first time I'm revealing my face? No, if you go to my video from April 1st, 2022, so last year's April Fool's, I also did a video where I showed my face. So I'm not against showing my face. It's just like it's easier to just film, like either screenshotting, like recording my screen on Master Duel, or just like showing like this, because my camera just points straight down and I don't have another camera. I don't have like that fancy setup that a lot of YouTubers have. So yeah, sue me. Yeah, so did not get first place. I honestly my showing was awful. I did really poorly, and it was very clear that again, like I said, I was there from 8 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. on the first day. The longer the day progressed, the worse I got. So in fact, most of my wins were in the first half, right? As a result. So let me give you a background about my preparation and my experiences leading up to this. So I haven't posted a Labrynth deck profile in a while because I've been in the lab cooking, right? I've been in the kitchen cooking. So I've been playtesting locals. So for those of you who are curious about my locals, I attend the same locals as former YCS champion Brian Chen, who top 16 at YCS Vegas. Did not top this time, unfortunately. I'm talking about Brian Chen, right? I also go to the same locals as if you watch my video from this morning, I did a deck profile for Vivek Vadim. I probably butchered his name. He attends my locals. He got top 64 playing Drytron. Just to give you guys, by the way, every time I go to locals, he's there. Like, very few times I go to locals, he's not there. Me and him have played each other a lot, right? And he doesn't only play Drytron. During tier format, he played tier. A little bit after tier died, he tried playing Labrynth. Once the Drytron got some like newer support and like the people were playing less Bishops, he moved back into Drytron. So he didn't just play. And in fact, I've been playing him since my Eldritch days, right? So not the first time. So we've played each other. I want to say dozens of times, 10 times. Who knows, right? Several times. And usually in either the final rounds of Swiss or like in the battle for like first place, second place, like in the top, right? So yeah, he top 64 playing his Drytron deck, and by the way, you can ask him; he will not deny this because this is true. The last, I want to say, 8 to 10 times he and I have played, he's beaten me once in a best of 3. Once when he was playing tier during tier format. That's it. All other times, I've beaten him. So just to let you guys know, like I was like, it's not like I was playing with a bunch of scrubs, people who don't know what they're doing. Like the people at my locals are actually pretty good. A lot of people from my locals went. Forbes, the Suship guy. I mean, he's not like a YCS champion or like a big name, like or topping or whatever. But he's like he's just one of many people from my locals that went, right? So high representation from my locals at this event. And obviously like competitive players. Kenny Nguyen, another player who was top YCSs in the past. Look him up, right? Nguyen being that Vietnamese name, NG, right? Yeah, he also goes to my locals. Same locals as Brian Chen, right? So all I'm saying is I've played with these people before, right? Like it's not. So me going to locals, I almost always get first place or second place. Very rarely do I get. I can't remember the last time I was below top 4, to be honest. Like at my locals. So I usually go Mondays, Wednesdays during the week after like in the evenings, and then sometimes Saturdays and Sundays depending on how my weekends look. So yeah, yeah. So locals, I would go anywhere between 1 to 4 times a week, and yeah, and sometimes I'd mix it up. There've been times I played Flu, times I played Crystal Beast. So it's not like I only play Lab, but recently I've only been playing Lab because I've been playtesting, right? I've been learning. So yeah, so I've been getting good results at locals with like some pretty competitive guys. Although last time I played Brian Chen, he beat me, so I got second place at that locals. He was first place, I was second place, right? Um, what else? I was playtesting online, Yu-Gi-Oh! Mega, right? Yu-Gi-Oh! Mega has pretty good. I mean, some people say Dueling Book is better, but Dueling Book takes forever. Like Yu-Gi-Oh! Mega is like I need to just play a lot of games, right? Um, Yu-Gi-Oh! Mega is like of those like automated platforms, probably the most competitive. It's more than EDO Pro, more than Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, right? More than a lot of the other ones. Definitely more than Master Duel, that's for sure. Yeah, so I got a lot of playtesting done on there. Um, so originally I was scheduled to go to LA with one of my buddies from New York City. He was going to come. We were going to get a hotel together. We were going to practice together. And then he ended up not being able to because of work commitment. So he was not able to come. So he canceled. And then basically I had to find out, who am I going to go with? I ended up going, well, I mean, I flew down by myself to LA. But I did meet up with one of you viewers. So yes, one of the subscribers, one of you subscribers slash viewers of my channel. I'm not gonna say his name because I didn't ask his permission to say his name on video. But yeah, he reached out to me. We've been contacting on Discord. Yeah, when I flew down, we stayed at a hotel together with me, him, and his buddy. So yeah, so we played. We attended the event together. Yeah, he's also obviously a Labrynth enjoyer because he watches my stuff, right? So yeah, that's what I did. But the problem, or like, all right, so I did really poorly. So what was my record? My record was X5. I lost 5 games. Yes, 2 of the games were games where like okay, there were reasonable losses. Like I didn't draw well. There was nothing I could have done. 3 of the losses, which were later in the day, completely thrown. I had the victory and I threw it away. Like, and I'll talk about those 3 losses specifically and talk about how I threw and how me being tired slash exhausted slash having a headache. I just completely threw the game. I was just completely out of it. So I'll talk about those losses. Realistically, I could have probably finished X2 if I was better prepared. like I've gone to a regional. I've gone to a regional before. I've topped regionals before, right? Like last year, I topped a regional playing Eldritch, where I got an invite to nationals. So I was out of like over 500 players, right? So I've been to a big event before. In terms of locals, like locals are usually 4 rounds of Swiss. Sometimes in the rare cases 5 or 6. Usually on weekends, and then sometimes depending on the number of players, there might in the time, right? There might be top 4, top 8 cutoff, single limb cutoff. Um, so it's like several hours. It's not like all day, but it's a good amount of time. But I guess the point was I was not mentally prepared. Like so, one thing that really like it was kind of like a wake up call was like two things that were a big wake up call. One, this event is not a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. It is not. It's not a test of Yu-Gi-Oh. It's a test of like endurance slash sanity slash I don't know resilience maybe because like again this is over 12 hours straight of Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Starting early in the morning, going to late, and it's just like it was kind of a disaster for me because I flew in on Friday. On Friday, everyone's supposed to show up on Friday because you're supposed to register the day before. But I had an early morning flight. I'm not good about sleeping nights before early flights because I'm usually stressing, I'm packing, I'm doing laundry, I'm doing all these things, right? So I went to bed at like 2:30 in the morning the day before night before my flight, and I wake up at 5:45. So I barely got 3 hours of sleep, if even. Got on a plane. I'm terrible at sleeping on planes. I cannot sleep on planes. My like it's very difficult unless like all seats around me are empty and I can maybe lie down and maybe nap for an hour or two, right? But it's not easy. It's very uncomfortable and very difficult for me to sleep on planes. Yeah, so I got there, very little sleep. I napped a little in the hotel, but then I had to go register, so I went to the main hall. Right, that's where I first saw Team Samurai X1. I saw Pack for the first time. Right, I saw them from far. I talked to them, fist bumped. Right, I told them how. So for those of you who don't know or are new to my channel, so Team Samurai X1 was like the first big Yu-Gi tuber that I got introduced to when I got back into Yu-Gi-Oh in 2021. And yeah, the very first deck I ever built was this really mediocre Dark Magician deck that Team Samurai X1 made. He still makes sort of mediocre Dark Magician decks, but like they've definitely gotten better over time. But yeah, that was the first dark deck I ever built since getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh. And I told him that. And then Pack, the second best deck I ever built since getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh was this one random Dogmatica Eldritch deck that Pack made when he played at a giant card event that he got first place. Um, so yeah, both big inspirations for me. I wouldn't say oh they're my hero, but like it's kind of weird when like you meet people that you see on a screen like in real life, like on YouTube. It's really like surreal, right? Um, so yeah, so like after I talked to them on Friday, I'm like, wait, why didn't I get a selfie? Why didn't I get their autograph? Why didn't I ask them to duel, right? And then like on Saturday, I posted the picture on this channel of me and them like posing, right, like the selfies. So yeah, and then even after that, I'm like, after all the events I was always like, wait, why didn't I just play like duel them, right? Cause like, okay, I got my selfie. I forgot to get autograph. Again, it's like a surreal experience. It's like you like, kind of freeze up, like, oh, what do I say to this person? Like, oh, what do I do, right? It's kind of it's just weird. It's like a weird celebrity effect, right? I don't know what the official term for it. So yeah, I also met Milano, the duelist. Big fan of Milano duelist. Uh, Triff was not there. Milano, who's buddies with Triff, told me that Triff was taking a break from Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't blame him because he's playing pendulums into a cash Tira board that can lock pendulum zones that like sets up a macrocosmos, so popped pendulum cards go to the banished zone instead of like, the extra. Like there's plenty of reasons why I could see like yeah, if I was a pendulum player I would not want to play Yu-Gi-Oh right now either, so don't blame him, right? um, yeah, and yeah, Milano's really chill, super chill dude. He's way more chill than in his videos. Yeah, we added each other on Facebook. I told him, hey, maybe collab, collab. Who knows, right? Maybe collab. I don't know how we'll collab because he likes to do videos in person, and I do this weird style. But I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. I'll come up with some ideas. I'll hit him up, see what he thinks. But yeah, in fact, Sunday, after Pac got eliminated. Oh, by the way, Milano hilariously had the same match record as me. So hilariously enough, I lost my first two matches in Swiss. Right, I opened 0-2, X2, and I'm just like, oh fuck, I have to go undefeated for the rest of the event. Like, by the way, I'll talk about those two matches because they were like absurdly crazy, like how they went. Um, but yeah, and then I met Milano. It was during the lunch break after the second match. They gave us a 30-minute lunch break. That's when I first met Milano. He was also 0-2. He was playing Natura Runic. I think all the Yugi tubers were. Pac was on Natura Runic. Team Samurai X1 was on Natura Runic. I don't know what the I get it's like a good deck. It's like it gets the job done. It's very generic, right? Oh, just banish your opponent's deck. Doesn't matter what they're playing, right? Um, but yeah, so it was funny that like me and Milano were both 0-2 at that time. It was pretty hilarious. um, yeah. So what else? Yeah, it was really awesome. Obviously after Saturday, I dropped. I didn't make the second day, but the second day I played a bunch of side events. The side events went a lot better than the first day. Um, mainly because I changed my deck, but probably more importantly, I actually got good amount of sleep. So the night before Saturday, so I got there on Friday. I napped a little bit at the hotel, went to the event. Friday night, I didn't sleep well because the people I was staying with, like again, it's not I'm not blaming anyone. Like I should have prepared better personally. I should have foreseen and like done a better job of like preparing for this. And you can say excuses. Yeah, they are excuses. Like, but it's all on me. I assume all the fault, right? Um, yeah. So like the two dudes I was staying with, like they got delayed and they didn't get to the hotel till like 4 in the morning. So I slept like 11, and then I had to wake up at 2 to check on them, and then went back to sleep. And then they got to the hotel at 4. I had to let them in, and then we delayed going back to sleep, and then we had to get up at like what was it 6:37? I forget. But again, 2 nights in a row of not good amounts of sleep. We ate well before the event. I took snacks and water into the event, and it helped. But I should have snacked sooner. That's the thing. Like I didn't start snack. I started doing water after the third match. I should have done it. Started drinking water sooner. I didn't snack until super late, like match 5 or 6 or something. I should have snacked a lot sooner. I should have done a snack between every match. Like to be honest, like just to keep my energy levels and like keep nutrition coming. But anyway, so yeah, that's what else. Oh, so I mentioned there were two things that were unexpected about this experience. One being that it's not a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. It's not a test of your Yu-Gi-Oh skills. It's a test of your like endurance and sanity and like mental resilience. It's a test of a lot of those things that I honestly was not prepared for. The second thing that was most surprising to me was the variance of this event was so extremely high. I totally did not foresee this level of variance. So what do I mean by variance? So obviously after that godforsaken deck tier got banned, or like that got neutered, right? The format became a lot more diverse. I mean, theoretically, you could argue Cash Tier is tier 0 because uh, they literally like the top 64 was more than 50% Cash Tira, more than 50%. I'm pretty sure that's the threshold for tier 0. So correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure we're technically in a tier 0 format, but Cash Tira is a lot more reasonable to deal with. Other decks have chances. Mathmech can play. Labrynth can play. Like there's a lot of viable decks, right? And I knew that, like going into it, like when I was playtesting, I felt like I was getting a good mix of decks I was going into. At locals and or Yu-Gi-Oh Mega, whatever. I played Kashtira, I played Sprite, I played Natura Runic, I played pure Floodgate Runic, I played Sprite, Runic Sprite, Live Twin Sprite, I played Branded, I played all the stuff, right? I definitely Sword Soul, a lot of Sword Soul on my locals, right? Bestials, Dragon Links, right? So I played a lot of decks. I will say that, but I still felt like, so for example, Yu-Gi-Oh! Mega, almost every deck on there was Kashtira, Sprite, with a few Mathmech and Branded. Very, very few Branded. Yeah, I would say the top 4 most popular decks on Yu-Gi-Oh! Mega when I was playing was Kashtira, followed by Sprite, then Runic Naturia, then Mathmech. And then occasionally you'll run into like an Adventure Scareclaw or like maybe a Lab Mirror or whatever. Like there were other decks, but it was very. But my online playtesting was definitely very skewed towards that. And having looked at the regionals data, I'm like, okay, Kashtira, Mathmech, Sprite, Runic Natura, that sounds to be about like the top four decks that in terms of popularity that I expect to see. But what was unexpected was when you actually go to the event, right? Like because we don't play that many games, right? Like we play 9 matches on day one, and then if you don't get certain record, you don't even play on day two. But 9 out of 3,200 people, right, is like not very much. So when I say the variance is really high, I meant like the decks you see during most of the Swiss event is not representative of the decks you see during the top 64 cutoff, right? Like normally when they report those, those famous pie charts that you see on MCole 40's channel or like other Yugi YouTube channels, right? Where it shows like the breakdown of who topped, right? It only shows the top. It doesn't show the decks leading up to the top. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for example, branded, I think there were like a handful of branded in the top 64. I saw 0 branded personally. I did not play branded at all, but I played Runic Naturia. I played Kashtira. I played Sprite. I played Flu. I did not expect to see a single Flu player. Nobody at my locals was playing Flu. Nobody on Yu-Gi-Oh! Mega played Flu. I was not expecting Flu whatsoever because I thought Flu was a dead deck. They didn't have Barrier Statue. It's the deck in terms of like as a deck that doesn't care about the graveyard or that banishing things, or it can possibly main deck D-Shifter. Strictly worse than Kashtira. Why would you play? And Flu hard loses to Kashtira, right? It's like they have do their Rise Heart. You banish a bird off map, and then the bird gets attached to the Rise Heart. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's just not. I don't understand why anyone would want to play Flu. Like I don't like it's just based on the current format. It just feels like it's impossible to take Flu all the way. Like yeah, we got a Flu in the top 4 at YCS LA. I think that was an anomaly. That was not a fluke, but like just not common, right? Like, but anyway, I saw a lot of Flu. Surprisingly, I played 2 Flu players. Personally, played 2 Flu players on my first day, which I thought was like bizarre, right? I played 1 Dark World dude. Also did not expect to see Dark World after Tier went away and Kashtira took over. Dark World fell off the face of the earth. I didn't see any at my locals. I didn't see any on Yu-Gi-Oh! Mega, and then I ran into 1 at the main event. So Dragon Link Bestials. I have seen resurgence of Bestial Dragon Link players. I did know they were around and like they were starting to be played, but I didn't know that there was this many being played. Like I ran into more. Again, I saw 0 branded players, and I faced I want to say like 2 or 3 branded Bestial Dragon Link players. So like between the 2 days, like I'm counting like main events and side events, like, and I was surprised, like people are actually a lot more people playing Dragon Link than I expected. Runic Naturia popularity about as much as I expected. Maybe I was even more popular at the main events, but I was like ready for Runic Naturia, so I prepared for that. I was ready for Mathmech, which you'll see in this deck. This deck has some spicy text that I'm going to share with y'all. So you can skip ahead or stay tuned for the profile. But so yeah, so and again, like I saw almost 0 branded, and yet my friend that I stayed with, like he's the guy that one of my subs or whatever, he saw like 3 or 4 branded in a row. Like it's like crazy, right? Like I saw a lot of trap tricks at my locals and on Yu-Gi-Oh! Mega, and I prepped for it, and I saw 0 trap tricks personally, and yet my other friend saw a bunch of trap tricks, right? It's just like stuff like that. It's like people's experiences were so vastly different. The last 2 videos I posted 2 videos before this one. The Suship deck profile and the Drytron deck profile by 2 of my buddies from my locals, right? The Drytron guy was the top 64 player. Both of those players ran Droll and Lockbird in their deck. Forbes, the sushi guy, said it was an amazing card. Vivek, the Drytron guy, said it was very meh/mediocre. Like it was not very good. And you see what I'm saying? Like it's because they played different decks, right? They played completely different. So the point that people just don't realize is how much variance goes into You know, like these games, these events, like there's a lot of variance. Like you can go with your friends, like play your 9 games or however many games of Swiss, and have a completely different story to tell than your friend, and not just because you and your buddy might be playing different decks, but because you saw completely different decks. And it's like I'm talking about my flu matchups, and like my buddy's like, flu. I didn't see any flu. Like who's playing flu, right? It's crazy. I got 2 flu people in my matchup. So yeah, I don't know. It was pretty interesting that like the decks I prepared for were not quite exactly the decks I saw. Yeah, I did play Cashier, I did play Sprite, I did play Ruining Nature, but there was also these other decks like Flu and Dark World. Like who's still playing those decks, right? And yet I had to play them. Bestial Dragon Link. Like oh okay, I knew that was a thing, but I played 3 of them over this weekend. Like how crazy is that, right? And I played 0 branded. I kid you not. I played 0 branded. Still branded my locals. There's still and 0 trap tricks. Still, there's a lot of trap tricks on my locals. A lot of trap tricks on Yu-Gi-Oh! Mega. Almost no, like a decent number branded. But I did not play either of those 2 decks this entire. I didn't play Mathmech either, actually. Yeah. There's a lot of Mathmech on Yu-Gi-Oh! Mega. There's a few on my locals. I played 0 Mathmech at this event. So go figure. Like I played Sprite. I played Cash. You know, I played. Yeah. So the variance is really high. So I feel like one thing I gotta do better about preparing for my deck is uh, assume more variance and don't be fooled by like what I'm seeing in playtesting. Uh, so like my there's a couple card choices in this deck that I put in specifically because of how well it was doing in my playtesting at my locals or on Yu-Gi-Oh! Mega online, right? That ended up completely flopping in the main event, or just not doing anything or not being very useful. So I'm gonna get into those, and I feel like yeah maybe I should have just either kept them in the side deck for those specific matchups that I thought that I knew were good, instead of the main deck, and I probably would have done a lot better. I think the 2 games I lost first. So my very first opponent was a Flute player. My very second opponent was Dark World. Like imagine I'm going into an event where I prepped for Cash, Runaturia, Mathmech, even Sword Soul. Branded Bestial, Branded Espia, Sprite, Life Twin Sprite, Adventure Sprite. This and that. And then my first 2 opponents flew in Dark World. You see what I mean? Like it's just crazy to me, right? Like um so yeah, so my first loss was against Flu, and actually before I talk about the duel specifically, what went wrong in the 3 games that I threw later, I'm gonna show you the deck profile that I ran on Saturday. So the day 1 of the events, I ran 1 deck list, and then on day 2, after my experience on day 1, I said, okay, I need to change this deck list because I done goofed, I done messed up. I had an incorrect meta read. I had I was not. I ran into decks and like stuff that I did not expect. So I changed the deck on Sunday, so day 2 for the side events, which I did a lot better in, by the way. And I'll get into to my results there. So yeah, so if you are looking at this video and wanting to build Labrynth, build my second deck, build my Sunday deck. It is a lot better than my Saturday deck. So just keep that in mind. So let's get into my deck profile for Labrynth. Again, this is the deck profile that I ran on Saturday, the first day of the YCS. It is different than what I'm running now and what I ran on Sunday, the second day of the YCS. I'm going to explain the cards. Some of the cards you'll see are unsleeved. They're unsleeved because I took it out of the deck. Yeah, so just keep that in mind. All right, we first begin with the Labrynth engine. 3 copies of Lady Labrynth of the Silver Castle. A few videos ago, a few deck profiles ago, I cut her down to 2 because I hated seeing 2 copies in my hand. I kid you not, she's a good card, right? She's great. I would not want to cut her down to 2 yet, but there were so many games where I opened 2 of her, and I'm just like, oh man, if only the second copy was another trap, or like something else. It's just so unfortunate when that happens. And it's not supposed to happen often. Like the probability of having 3 copies of a card in your deck and seeing 2 in your opening hand is like I want to say around 4%, which is not small, but it's not high either. And yet I swear there were games where I saw 2 ladies more than I saw 1 lovely. How insane is that, right? People always be joking like, "Oh, lovely is glued to my hand. I hate seeing lovely." Like I'm drawing lovely all the time. I drew too many ladies. That was my problem. Lovely showed up to my hand a reasonable amount of times. I think I can only recall 1 duel where I opened lovely where I was like, yeah, I'm dead. My hand is like it's too bricky to play, right? I honestly did not see lovely that often. Like I said in my April Fool's video, if you don't want to see lovely, just don't draw her, right? But I hadn't practiced not drawing my ladies. I kid you not. There was a game I drew all 3 ladies in my opening hand, and I'm just going second, by the way. And I'm just like, oh my god, this is so bad. And I'm just like staring at this like, why do you hate me? I never drew 3 ladies in my life in my opening hand. By the way, probability of opening all 3 copies of the same card in a 5-card hand, 1 in 1,000. Go do the math. It's 1 in 1,000. So I drew the 1 in 1,000 hand of 3 ladies in my opening hand. It was just, I swear. So the first two games that I lost, I bricked like a motherfucker. Like in terms of I've drew so many completely bizarre hands that I have never ever seen before in my life. I'll show some of the hands later, but like yeah, I really hate it's I have a love hate relationship with the lady. I love seeing her. You know, she's a boss mom. She's really good, but I hate seeing 2 or even 3 in my opening hand. So I really wish I could cut her down to 2. But for now, she has to be at 3. Maybe in the future, if we get more Labrynth support, you know how the big Labrynth artwork or big Welcome Labrynth artwork has silhouettes of like some weird looking like possibly women or creatures. It's possible we get more monsters in the future, and then I can which will mean more Welcome Labrynth targets, and I can cut Lady down to 2 because I really really wished she was at 2. The number of times I saw 2 in my opening hand, I'm just like, oh no, why is this happening to me? But alas, 3 at the moment is mandatory, unfortunately, even though I wish it was not. So yeah, for those of you wondering, this is Starlight Lady. I only have 1 because the price jumped a few months ago whenever I started playing. By the way, Labrynth did not top. There was 0 Labrynth topping in the top 64 at Vegas, and I think London had a dude in top 16 who lost to a Cashtira player. I think he was playing Labrynth. Yeah, so those of you new to the channel or new to Labrynth, Lady's really good. She's 3,000 attack, 2,900 defense, level 8, Dark Fiend. Let's read what she says. When you control a set card, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. Also cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So, yeah, so she has really good protection as long as you have a set card. Use each of the following effects of Lady once per turn. If a Labrynth card or effect or a monster or a normal trap card was activated this turn, except herself, right? Quick effect. You can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. So she can special herself if you use another Labrynth card or a normal trap this turn. When a normal trap card is activated, quick effect. You can set 1 normal trap with a different name directly from your deck. So, yeah, she searches normal traps from your deck and sets them onto your field. So if you activate Big Welcome, you can chain her, set regular welcome, you can set Dogmatic Punishment, you can set Trap Trick, you can set whatever you want, right? Yeah, she's really good. Yeah, really good engine. Honestly, like she's just like a solo engine, like for any trap deck. And any trap deck that has normal traps, you can theoretically just throw 2 or 3 of her in, and she'll be useful, right? You're playing Dynamorphia, throw 2 ladies in, see what happens, right? Playing Eldritch, maybe put 2, see what happens, right? So, one thing that a few interactions that a lot of people don't know is, let's say that you activate a Labrynth card that it gets its effect negated. Let's say normal Ariana, you activate Ariana and it gets ashed or impermed. It gets it negated. You can still activate Lady on the same chain or in a future chain. So she can special herself to the field if you activated a Labrynth card or a normal trap card this turn, right? So it doesn't have to be in the same chain, right? Like Amazement Arcolino. Yeah, so normal Ariana, she activate Ariana effect, you get Asher and Impermed. Doesn't matter. You can same chain or new or different chain. Special lady, right? Uh, counts for the field spell, counts for welcome, counts for big welcome. If you banish big welcome from your graveyard to bounce a card, you can special her from the hand. So keep that in mind. However, you cannot special her if the activation is negated. So what do I mean? So let's say you have her in hand and you activate Big Welcome Labrynth. Your opponent chains Ghost Bell. Ghost Bell, unlike Ash Blossom. So Ash Blossom says it negates the effect. Ghost Bell says it negates the activation. So you must have activated a trap card in order to use her hand effect. So let's say Chainlink 1, Big Welcome, Chainlink 2, they Ghost Bell. You can Chainlink 3, Special Lady. If you don't Chainlink 3, Special Lady, and you just let Ghost Bell negate the activation of Big Welcome goes away, you can no longer, for the rest of the turn, activate Lady off of that Big Welcome. You need another card to basically meet the condition. So keep that in mind. The card must have been successfully activated. And the reason you're allowed to do it on the same chain, because like Chainlink 1, Big Welcome, Chainlink 2, Ghost Bell, Chainlink 3, Lady, because you did activate your Big Welcome on normal trap, and its activation has not yet been negated by Ghost Bell. Therefore, you can activate Lady. See what I'm saying? So, yeah. Anyway, mandatory 3 of 1 copy of Lovely Labrynth. This is the brick that you never want to watch, that you never want to draw in your hand. Although because we have Big Welcome, it's okay to. I guess it's sometimes okay. It's not a total brick. Yeah, this is the CR Collector's Rare. Lovely. So this, yeah, love-hate relationship with this card. Honestly, I very rarely saw it in my opening hand. There was one opening hand where I saw it where I'm just like, oh, I'm totally cooked. Where I literally opened 2 Lady, a Lovely, Lord of the Heavenly Prison, and then like, I don't know, I think it was a Solemn Strike or something, like a trap that was not enough to allow me to play the game, right? Yeah, I legit saw this hand, Lady, Lovely. The probability of this is also really low. I mean, it's not as so. If you only look at 3 ladies, drawing all 3 ladies is 1 in 1,000. Drawing 2 lady plus 1 of these 2 is not 1 in 1,000. But it's still small. But yeah, one of my opening hands, no joke, was this. Like this, I had a Lord and I had one other card. I'm just like, wow, my deck really does not want me to win today. I've never seen hands these atrocious. I'm not kidding you when I say like these are like some of the worst brickiest hands I've ever seen, right? So yeah, Lovely is a pretty big brick, but let's read what she says. 2900 attack, 1900 defense, level 8 Dark Fiend. Your opponent cannot activate monster effects in response to activation of normal trap cards. So very important. If she's already on the field and you welcome, you can't act, they can't Ghost Bell, the big welcome. They can't Barone negate, they can't do anything if she's on the field. Continuous effect, right? You use each of the following effects once per turn. You can target, so slow effect on your turn. You can target a normal trap card in your graveyard, set it to your field, but it cannot be activated unless you control a fiend monster. So if Lady grabs traps from the deck and sets them, Lovely grabs traps from the graveyard. One thing I forgot to mention about Lady, her second effect to grab traps from the deck must be used in a chain link immediately above the trap cards in question. So let's say you activate Lady and you use let's say use Welcome Labrynth. You have to ask response. If they have no response, you can chainlink 2 Lady. However, if you do chainlink 1 Welcome and they chainlink 2 Ash Blossom, you cannot chainlink 3 Lady. So basically, your opponent is going to look to interrupt your Lady whenever they can, so that you don't get your search off, right? So very important interaction that you know that interaction. Yeah. So anyway, back to Lovely. Lovely can reset normal traps in the graveyard. So very good engine piece. Her other effect says, if another monster or monsters leaves the field by your normal trap effect, except during the damage step, you can destroy 1 card in your opponent's hand at random or their field. Non-targeting. So you have a non-targeting pop of your opponent's card on your opponent's field or hand. Field is chosen, hand is random. So she's very good. Like it's. I don't think you should cut her. She's just so good. Like once you actually get her out and going, it's like she can just win. She can win you games single-handedly. In fact, there was a game I threw because one of the games I threw that I'll talk about later. I threw because I did not utilize her fully, which I'll get to that later. But yeah, I could have won if I had fully utilized her effects. Okay, so those are the monsters. Wait, what about Ariana? I did not play Ariana in this deck. The reason is because I had a better normal summon, which I'll show you guys later. However, Ariana is back in this deck. You'll see that deck list later in this video. But yeah, I do not think Ariana is necessary in Labrynth. I play tested plenty. I took this deck to locals. I played on Yu-Gi-Oh! Mega. I did not need or miss Ariana. But Ariana is a good card, but it's more like a win more card. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those cards where like she's good if you have the other pieces, right? The other things, right? So yeah, no Ariana necessary. I never ran out of welcome Labrynth targets. Yeah, I feel like 4 is like a good number of targets for your traps. Okay, so those are the monsters. So I ran 2 copies of Welcome Labrynth, 3 copies of Big Welcome Labrynth. Same ratio as I was in my previous deck profile. People who are playing 3 Welcome, either A, don't play Trap Trick, which I do. If you play Trap Trick, you will never need the 3rd copy. I promise you, you will never need the 3rd copy if you play Trap Trick. Or 2, do play Trap Trick, but never actually try playing this at 2 and realizing, oh, I never need my 3rd copy. Because, folks, Welcome Labrynth comes back from the graveyard, right? Big Welcome does not. Big Welcome, you want as many copies as you want because once you use it, you can banish, you can bounce, and then it's gone. This comes back, can come back every turn. Like, it's insane. And in fact, if you have 2 in rotation, you use one, whatever, you remove a trap, goes to graveyard, and same turn you can bring it back the other one. You can just keep doing that if you want, right? So let's read what this says. Welcome Labrynth. Special summon 1 Labrynth monster from your deck. Also, until the end of the next turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monster from deck or extra except feed monsters. So this can be ashed, special from deck. If a monster, second effect, if a monster leaves the field by your normal trap effect while this card is in your graveyard, except the turn it was sent there, you can set this card. And then each effect is once per turn. So, yeah, this card is really good. So, let's talk about starters, right? So, like, what are your starters, right? All these are technically starters because these 5 can search her, and then she can special herself. This can recycle back. This can bounce, remove their monster, which will set this back. Also, if you have Lady with any other other normal traps, you special Lady, and then when you use those other normal traps, you can chain Lady to set one of these from your deck, and then you have your engine. So honestly, like, from play testing, I never had issues of not seeing engine. I did have a few issues during this YCS, which I'll get into. But yeah, 2 welcome is all I needed. I never needed a 3rd. Not in playtesting, not in this tournament. 2 is the right way to go. Just try it. But again, this is contingent or on the fact that you play Trap Trick. If you do not play Trap Trick, play a 3rd copy. If you do play Trap Trick, play then 2 is fine. And if you don't believe me, try it. Try it yourself. Big Welcome. Let's read this. This Big Welcome is actually better than Welcome, but it's just not as recursive, right? Big Welcome says, special summon 1 Labrynth monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So that's how we can unbrick Lovely, right? Then return 1 monster you control to the hand. Okay, so basically, if you have Big Welcome Labrynth, you activate it. Special Lady from the deck, bounce her, and then that's later that turn or the very next chain if you want, you can special activate Lady and special her back. So again, this is a starter, right? Most of the time, if you already have Lady, you want to bring out Lovely. So Welcome. So with Welcome, it depends, right? So with Welcome, sometimes you bring Lovely. You usually bring Lovely out with Welcome if you have normal traps that can trigger her effect. Or you bring out Lady with Big Welcome if you know your opponent is playing a deck that can target or pop your cards because she can be targeted or popped by card effects, right? Ideally, you would bring out Lovely because Lovely can get a pop, but also you can reset Welcome immediately back if you want, or reset one of your cards. Like if you have Punishment, you can reset it immediately. Punishment will help you take Welcome back, get you an extra pop, and then the new Welcome can bring out Lady, right? So ideally, you want to go to Lovely, but sometimes you have to go to the Lady off Welcome. Big welcome. If you have no other cards, you always go into Lady. There's no reason to go into Lovely. If you have Big Welcome and Lady, you go into Lovely. So let's say you have Lady in hand, you have this set. What I like to do is, Chain Link 1, Big Welcome. They have no response. Chain Link 2, Lady, Special Lady. And then Welcome comes in, or Lovely comes in, bounces Lady. Because Lady left the field by a normal trap, you can immediately trigger Lovely to pop one of their cards, right? For example. So, yeah, it's really good. Big Welcome is definitely the better starter, technically. Let's read the second effect. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one fiend monster you control, or if you control a level later higher fiend monster, you can target one card your opponent controls instead. Return that card to the hand. You can only use one Big Welcome effect once per turn. So yeah, on turn A, you activate this to get your engine going. Goes to the graveyard. Turn B, you can banish this to get a spot removal. Big Welcome can trigger the graveyard effect can trigger Lovely. So if you have Lovely, you bounce a monster. If you bounce a monster, you can then use Lovely to pop a card, right? Yeah, and then what else? Yeah, so it's really good. Keep in mind that this bounce effect is really important because there's a lot of monsters with protection from card destruction, like Kashira, Shangri-La, can't be destroyed while it has material, right? Or it has to detach and protect. Borderland Dragon cannot be destroyed, but can be targeted by trap effects, right? There's a lot of cards like that where you rather bounce it. Like if you're against a Mirror Jade, you bounce that back to the extra deck, rather than destroying it most of the time. So yeah, the bounce is very, very important. It's like the reason this card is so amazing because it's simultaneously our engine starter, which can, by the way, special from anywhere, graveyard, deck, hand, and on a subsequent turn, it's a interruption which can remove. By the way, this can out Denko Sekka. This can out Royal Decree. It's really good. Play 3 of these. Even with Trap Trick, you want to see this as often as possible. It's better you see 2 Big Welcome in your opening hand than 2 Welcome. That's the logic I like to use. So yeah, that is the end of our Labrynth engine. So what do we have here? We have a total of 5 plus 4, 9 cards, 9-card engine. Would I have made changes to this deck? Yes. In fact, on Sunday I put Ariana back, and I'll explain why later. I'll talk about Ariana and also the field spell. So that's the 9-card engine that I chose to run. Again, in playtesting, I did not need either Ariana or the field spell. Let's get into other cards that are, in my opinion, core mandatory cards in trap decks, but also I would even say honorary Labrynth cards. Let's start with Lord of the Labrynth Prison. This card is a mandatory 3 of, in my opinion, because it's like the best extend. It's not even an extender. It just does everything you could possibly want from a card, right? Like this might as well be called Lord of the Labrynth Prison, right? Because it synergizes so incredibly well with Labrynth. Like it blows my mind when I see deck lists and people are not playing this card. I remember during YCS you get to walk around and watch other people play, between if you have downtime or if your match ended early, right? I would go around and I would watch other players. I would often see Labrynth players. Sometimes they ran Lord, sometimes they didn't. Every time I saw a Labrynth player with Lord, they were winning. Every time I saw a Labrynth player without Lord, they were not necessarily winning. They were in a mediocre or losing position. I remember there was a Labrynth versus Sword Soul matchup I was watching. Labrynth player got 2 of his back row popped by Sword Soul Blackout. And I asked him, "Oh, where's your Lord of the Heavenly Prison?" He's like, "Oh, I don't have it." I'm like, "I'm not running it." Like, what? What? You're not running? You took a Labrynth deck to YCS and you didn't even put it in the side deck. I was mind blown. I would see people like that. This card is so incredible. I saw a Labrynth mirror. One of the Labrynth players had Lord, the other had Furnitures. Guess who? I made a joke post, a hilarious post about this on YouTube. You'll never guess who was dominating the other. The Labrynth player with Lord was completely shitting on, demolishing the Labrynth player without Lord, right? You know I told you I went to YCS LA and I stayed in the hotel with one of you, lucky viewers who went with me and stayed in the hotel right with me. So on Sunday I played with him. One of the side events we did was Tag Duel. For those who don't know who Tag Duel is, it's a 2v2 Yu-Gi-Oh game match, best of one, 30 minutes, where two players against two players, and all two players are playing against the other two players. So it's not like a 3v3 where you have three players that are playing individually, separately, and they can talk to each other. This is a Tag Duel where like both players play simultaneously. Like we have 10 back row between the two of them. We have 10 front row between the two of us, right? So I just to put you guys in perspective, there was one game where my buddy who again he's a viewer of the channel, he's a subscriber, he played Labrynth as well. He opened Lord of the Heavenly Prison and I did not. So we were going up against a tag team. I want to say one guy was a Pendulum player, the other guy was a Fluffles. Yeah, I think it was Fluffles. Whatever. So he opened Lord and I did not. And guess what? By the way, we had about the same number of turns. There was a point in the duel where like I had 3 cards on my field, like, and he had like 7, because he had Lord. Like, Lord is just pure card advantage. Like, I don't understand Labrynth players or trap players who do not play Lord. Let's read what this motherfucker says right now. Read with me. Level 10, Dark, Rock, 3000 3000 defense. During your main phase, you can activate this effect. This card in your hand becomes revealed until the end of your opponent's turn. While this card is revealed by this effect, set cards on the field cannot be destroyed by card effects. So that's all set cards, including monsters, and it counts your opponent's field as well. If a set spell trap card is activated, except during damage save, you can spell summon this card from hand. Then, if you activated this effect while this card was revealed, you can reveal and set one spell trap directly from your deck, but banish it during your end phase of the next turn. You only use one Lord of the Heavenly Prison effect once per turn. So, protects your back row. Brandon Red into Guardian Chimera. Nope, you're not popping anything. Sorcerer Blackout, you're not popping anything, right? Kashtira Field Spell, you're not popping anything, right? It's just so good. Runic Destruction, you're not popping anything. Sorry. Lord is just so good. Yeah, so my buddy that I played the tag duel, like, hey, if you can comment on this in this video, you recall that game where you had Lord and I didn't? You had like 7, 8 cards on the field and I had like 3. Yeah, because you saw Lord and I didn't. Like, it's just the fact that not only you protect your back row, but also on the subsequent turn, if he's revealed and you any set card is activated, you special him, set a trap from the deck, right, or a spell, which does banish itself on your end phase, but you typically use it before then. And then you have a 3K body, folks. 3K body, right? 3000 attack. Under skill drain, this is like the king. This is literally the king of the duel. If you're under skill drain, you have this in the hand. Like, what are they gonna do? They have nothing, right? Yeah, this is Lord is just amazing. And Lord synergizes so well with Big Welcome, with Labrynth. Let me give you an example why, right? Let's say that you have Lord activated hand, it's revealed. Your opponent goes, you floodgate them out. They can't make a board. Let's say they end up with no monsters on their board. You flip one of your set traps. Let's say it's Gozen. On their end phase, right? Let's say on their end phase, because end phase is all you almost always want to special him on your end phase. Why? And actually, that's also true about Lady. So let's talk about when you should activate these cards. There's this card called Triple Tactics Talents and Triple Tactics Thrust. Triple Tactics Talents can trigger if you activate a monster effect on main phase. Thrust is any phase, right? But it's a normal spell, so they can only play it on their main phase. If you know or suspect they have Thrust, or you want to play around it, summon these two on your end phase, right? Like, let them swing and attack you directly with their monsters. As long as it's not lethal, you can wait until your end phase. No, worst case scenario, you do it during battle phase. But best case, you do it during end phase, because you don't want them. You don't want them to get triple tactics thrust. In fact, you want them to side that shit out on game 2. Be like, oh, I had no chance. This was a brick in my hand. I had no opportunity to activate thrust. They side it out, and then game 2 that you can use it. Wait, whatever. Lol. So anyway, back to Lord. So let's say, End phase. You flip Gozen. Special Lord. What do you set from deck? You set Big Welcome Labrynth. Bam. Cool. Draw for turn. Main phase. Battle phase. Attack directly for 3,000 attack. That's 3,000 damage. Still battle phase. Activate Big Welcome Labrynth. Assuming this is not Ashed or Ghostspelled. Special Lovely. Bounce Lord to your hand. New chain. Chainlink one Lovely to pop a card on their field or hand. Chainlink 2 Lord to immediately summon himself back. Attack for 29, attack for 3,000. Game. OTK. OTK. Yeah. Again, why would you not play Lord? I don't understand. I literally don't understand. Let's say you don't have OTK because they have monsters on the field. Let's say you can't swing for game. Then what you do is after that, you attack. You attack. Big Welcome. Lovely. Bounce Lord. Attack. Main phase 2. Activate Lord again. And now you have back row protection again. And now Lovely can reset a trap, right? This trap is protected from being popped. Next turn, that trap will activate. Lord will come back. It'll get you another card from your deck. Every turn, every time Lord hits the field, you get a card. It's advantage. This card is pure advantage. There is no negging on this card. There is no breaking on this card. I'll tell you about a game later when I drew too many Lords where I had a brick hand and I still won. It was against a Dark World player. Yeah. Meanwhile, the furniture negs like crazy, so that maybe, hopefully, in the future they start netting an advantage. But this guy will always net you. Labrynth Mirror matchup. You have Lord, they don't. Lord crashes into their lady. Oh, they compulsory Lord back to my hand. Okay, cool. Summon back. Let's crash into lady. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to crash your lady into their lady. You crash your Lord into their lady, and then they have no lady, and you do, right? So again, this card is insanely good. By the way, if this card is activated and your back row is protected, they can't. It's also protected from virus, protected from lightning storm, protected from harpies. One of the flu players, hard open harpies feather duster game 2 against me. I had Lord, he couldn't clear my back row. See, like it's that easy, right? It's that easy. Play Lord at 3 in the main deck. If you don't, you're actually griefing. You're actually griefing and like trying to lose the game. I don't know what else to say. This is an honorary Labrynth deck. In fact, from now on, every lab profile I do, when I say, oh, let's go into the Labrynth Core, this is now going to be part of the Labrynth Core. I'm officially, I already submitted the application, rename this to Lord of the Labrynth Prison, or Lord of the Heavenly Labyrinth, whatever. It doesn't matter. This is now a Labrynth card, which would be hilarious because if it was, it could be special by Welcome and Ariana. And how insane would that be, right? Anyway. All right, I've talked enough about Lord. Play Lord. If you don't, you're gonna lose. Next, we have. Okay, this is gonna shock a lot of my longtime viewers. I'm playing. This is the only spells in my deck. 2 copies of Pod of Duality. 2 copies of Pod of Prosperity. What? What? Pot of Prosperity? What are you doing here? What is this? What is this disgusting card doing in my deck? All right, I'll tell you what it's doing in my deck. Oh boy. So, longtime viewers of my channel know that I love Pot of Extravagance more than I like Pot of Prosperity, and I think it's the better card to run in trap decks, especially Labrynth. And I will, to this day, argue that Pot of Extravagance is a better card. In fact, I would say Pot of Prosperity was very lackluster in this YCS. It didn't do. I missed Extravagance because. Because back when I had Extravagance, when I would trigger Lord of Heavenly Prisons as special to field, I would often set Pot of Extravagance, draw for turn, Extrav, and then I'd draw 2 more. Like, it would net me so much advantage. It would be insane, right? And in fact, Lord can, and if you do that, the tricks with bouncing Lord and summoning again, like, you can get so much advantage if you had Extravagance. Because, but unfortunately, this format kind of calls for Prosperity. This is the only format I would ever play Prosperity in. Why? All right, I'll tell you why. In every other format, Extrav is better. And I would even say if you played Extrav instead of Prosperity, I would not fault you. In fact, now that YCS is over, I'm gonna switch back to Extrav, honestly. Because like locals is less higher stakes. So the reason I played Prosperity here was, and by the way, the reason we're at 2 each, because you never want to see more than one of these in your opening hand. It's a brick, and I never did. So, yeah. A few reasons why Prosperity is slightly better for this YCS event specifically. Number one, we're in a format called where Cash Tier is like the top deck. It's like a Tier 0 deck, or some people say it's Tier 1, but I mean it's getting more than 50% representation in tops, but whatever. And Cash Tira has a bunch of trigger effects and BS that it does whenever you banish cards face down. And guess what? Prosperity and Extra have both banished cards face down from your extra deck, right? You Prosperity for 6, they can now trigger number 89. They can trigger Shangri-La, lock more zones. They can trigger Rise Heart, like, right? And the problem is that Pot of Extravagance has a part of the effect. If you read Pot of Extravagance, says at the start of your main phase. So you can only activate Pot of Extravagance as your very, very, very first card that you play in main phase. Like, it has to be the very first thing you do in main phase. Pot of Prosperity does not have that restriction. So that, unfortunately, makes Pot of Prosperity better, especially against Cash Tira in the current format, right? Because if you Pot of Extrav for 6 and they have number 89, that you're now banishing 14 cards off your deck, my friend. You're right, face down. You're now locking another zone, maybe if there's even any more, like if you still have like one or two more open zones. A Rise Heart is getting even more materials. Like Prosperity is better because in the Cash Tier matchup, you want to clear their board with like Sphere Mode, evenly match, whatever, and then you play your pot. Right? So after you've dealt with number 89, you've dealt with a Rise Heart, you've dealt with Shangri-La, then you play Prosperity, and then you can like dig. So that's one big reason why Pot of Prosperity is better right now, just right now, in this very instance in time. No other time is it better. Okay? And in fact, it's not even better. Extrav is still the better card. I chose to play a shittier card because of the format. Extrav, if you play hundreds and thousands of games, will have a higher win rate, but a lower, but a higher variance. Prosperity will have a lower variance, so because it's more consistent than Extrav, but you'll lose more games. That's the math theory. So for those of you stats nerds out there who understand math and statistics, lower average win rate, lower standard deviation / variance. Extrav, a higher average win rate, but higher variance and standard deviation. So that's the trade-off that you're getting off Prosperity. Another reason is a lot of players, up until recently, have been main decking cards like Evenly Matched, or citing cards like Evenly Matched, Denko Second, blah, 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 etc. Right? A lot of up until recently, right? I mean, this might have changed with the YCS, but if you have to make sure you don't get blown out by like a Lightning Storm, Evenly Match, whatever, you have to see that Lord. You have to see that Judge. You have to see the specific cards to stop yourself from getting out. And Prosperity is better at that because you dig for 6, whereas Extrav just draws 2, right? So in that case, you kind of need that one card to protect your back row. Now, I will say that Evenly Matched in the main deck, from what I saw, not just from at the tournament, but leading up a few days before the tournament, Evenly Matched in the main deck, a lot less common. In fact, Jesse Cotton, like 2 or 3 days before YCS, did a stream. He was like, "Oh, I was main decking evenly, but I think I'm gonna move into side deck because this and that. Sprite is more prevalent. Evenly Matched not as strong as Sprite. A lot less Labrynth. Well, he had all these reasons why he was no longer maining evenly, right? All my opponents, pretty sure, sided evenly, did not main it. So yeah, so the fact that we're not seeing main deck evenlies, and also we're seeing fewer side deck slots dedicated for dealing with Labrynth, I think is going to make it so that Prosperity is less important. But during playtesting and leading up to the tournament, I thought I was going to need this just to make sure I don't get blown out about back row removal. But yeah, I definitely saw, like I said, less of it in this tournament in the main deck. and even people's sides like didn't have that many. Most people had like cosmics in the side with like evenlies, both of which can be dealt with better than like also having lightning storm and all these other things. So yeah, definitely gonna go back to extravagance very soon. I also expect there to be a ban list that's probably gonna hit Kashtira, and that's gonna be less prevalent. Because yeah, when I was running extravagance, I would have to side out extravagance going second against Kashtira, right? Because like I said before, there's no point um, in running extravagance because if you use it against a Kashtira board, they're just gonna banish 14 cards off your deck, or they're just gonna banish, or they're just gonna zone lock you for more. So yeah, you don't want that. Um, but yeah, every other matchup, extravagance is better for the most part. But alas, because Kashtira is like again, it's basically tier 0. Yeah, we're gonna temporarily have prosperity in the main, but don't get too comfortable with this because this card sucks and it's way worse than Extrav. But yeah, anyway, let's move on. Oh, also 2 of ratios because you never want to see more than one copy in your opening hand. You never want to open 2 duality because once per turn, you never want to open 2 prosperities. So yeah, this made it so that you see it once in your hand, in your opening hand, which is good. But also theoretically, you could search either of these off Lord, and sometimes if you don't have a specific card you need, then you could do that. Anyway, so let's move on to additional back row / trap deck core. 2 copies of Trap Trick. I don't know why I see some Labrynth players either run 1 or not run this at all. Like, there's literally just 2 more copies of all your normal spells. Guess what? All your Labrynth starters are normal spells. So we're running 2 Labrynth, 2 welcome, 3 big welcome. We now have 2 more copies of them, right? So why not run it? We're at a 2 of because it is not. It is once per turn, so you don't want to see more than 1 in your opening hand. Yeah, because then you can brick on it. Yeah, this basically adds 2 more copies to all your normal traps, right? So all your 3 ofs become 5 ofs, and all your 2 ofs become 4 ofs. So if you really need a specific opening like normal trap, you will see it thanks to Trap Trick. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't run this. Right? Because it's not, because most of the time, especially for some of your traps that are once per turn, right? Like, let's say you have a Dogmatic Punishment already, you can Trap Trick into a Torrential, right? Or let's say you don't have a Welcome, or you open Welcome but you didn't open Big Welcome, Trap Trick into Big Welcome, right? In case they ask your Welcome. So yeah, this just gives you more options and allows you to adapt in the middle of your opponent's turn or at the end of your opponent's turn to whatever card they want. So one of the coolest interactions with Trap Trick that you can do is, let's say you have Lord face up, right? And let's say you have a set Trap Trick, and let's say you also have a lady in your hand, right? So one thing you could do is, like, let's say your opponent wasn't able to pop off because maybe you stopped them with your other normal trap cards or floodgates, right? One thing you can do is on your opponent's end phase, you can activate Lady to special, and then activate Trap Trick, chain Lady to set a different card from Trap Trick, and then Trap Trick will search you a card, right, by banishing a copy from your deck, and then whatever. So then Lady's going to set a card, Trap Trick is going to set a card, and then on resolution you activate Lord and you set a 3rd card. So literally on your opponent's end phase, if you have this set up right here, you can literally search 3 trap cards, all going into your turn, and your opponent will not have a chance to respond, right? You can literally see what your opponent's board state is, and based on what it is, you can literally, with this combination, search 3 different trap cards, all of which will. And Lord can even search floodgates and spells too, like if you want to, like your pot cards. So yeah, you literally go into your turn with 3 new cards that your opponent didn't know about, and you get to top deck a card. So yeah, Trap Trick enables that, right? And since Trap Trick most of the time will be the very last trap card that you play, because again, after you play Trap Trick, you're locked into 1 trap card for the rest of your turn, and that means that, like, all your other trap cards should probably go before this one, unless you really, 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 really need a Torrential, or you really, 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 really need a Dogmatica before your other trap cards in order to survive the turn. Also, one thing to note is, let's say you use Trap Trick to go into Welcome or Big Welcome on your opponent's turn, right? Keep in mind that if they have Ash or Ghost Spell, you cannot Solemn Strike them, right? Because this locks you into 1 trap. So if you Trap Trick into Welcome, so let's say this is a Welcome, and you activate Welcome, and they Ash, you can't Solemn Strike if you have it, right? So sometimes what you do is you Trap Trick into Welcome, you draw phase, and then you use Welcome, And then if they ash you or ghost spell you, then you Solemn Strike, because then you're not locked out anymore. So, but yeah, keep that in mind. But yeah, Trap Trick is an amazing card. Definitely have this in your deck. Mandatory 2 of, in my opinion. Next, mandatory trap cards. That's part of any good trap deck. 3 copies of Solemn Strike. This card does everything you can possibly need, and it's not once per turn. That's why we're at 3 of, right? Cost you 1,500 life points. I only lost to time once in the entire both days of YCS because I Solemn Struck the Synchro Summon of Baron de Fleur against a Runic Deteriorator player, and basically like it was game 3. We I had a winning position on him, but you know we just went to time. I'll talk about my matchups more in detail later. But yeah, most other other than losing the time, this card is pretty much great in every situation. It's like a one-stop shop for all your stop your opponent from doing things needs, right? Use welcome or big welcome. Use welcome. They ask you. You say no. Use big welcome. They go spell you. Say no. They summon a form. They attack you and then summon a 4 material Zeus. You say no, right? You they summon 2 bodies. Kashtira summons 2 bodies. Exceeds into a Dark Arm Dragon or a Draco Sack because they want to pop one of your Floodgates. You say no. You use Torrential Tribute on a sprite player that has like 6 monsters on their field. They negate it with either Toad or Red Carrot, so they don't lose their field. You say no, right? Or goes in right? This just does everything, right? Everything you could possibly imagine. They summon Access Code. You say no. Yeah, it's just the say no card, right? It's like anything that can annoy you or like possibly be game winning, you just say no. Like, sorry, nope. Yeah, like any situation you can think of. Let's say you're in a Labrynth Mirror matchup, they activate their lady in their hand to special summon it. You say no, right? Yeah, they summon Baron de Fleur. Maybe they're a Runic Deteriorator player. They want to pop your Floodgates. You say no. Right? They summon. You're against Dragon Link. They summon Borland Dragon. And Borland Dragon, has can be destroyed by card effects or battle. You say no. What else? Yeah, it just says you can just say no to so many things that your opponent tries to do. That's probably gonna be annoying because again, Solemn Strike negates summons and negates the monster effects, and destroys them. As a spell speed 3 card, it's a counter trap, which means they cannot chain anything to Solemn Strike. I really don't understand why people don't play this card more often, especially Labrynth players. Yeah, this just says no to everything, except obviously spells and traps. But I mean, the best effects and cards in the game are monster cards, right? Some people tell you it's spells, but if it was, then more people would be playing spell decks, right? But yeah, Solemn Strike would just your opponent summons Sky Striker Ray. They link into a Sky Striker Ace monster. You say no, right? You negate the summon. Ray can't return. Yeah, this just does everything you could possibly need. Why would you not play 3? So yeah, yeah. I remember there was this one Kashtira player I played. They opened 2 Ash in hand, and I opened 2 of these. So basically, that means that they're never going to negate welcome or big welcome. See what I mean? You're going to get your things out. So, yeah, play this. Play 3 Solemn Strike. All right, so that's our core non-Labrynth cards. Let's get into our normal trap cards. So we're playing 3 copies of Torrential Tribute. It still blows my mind to no end that there are Labrynth players who wake up in the morning, put on their pants, look at themselves in the mirror, and do not play this in their deck. This card is so unbelievably cracked. This card, so I talked about MVP cards, how Lord, I mentioned before how Lord was an MVP card at this tournament. So these 6 cards were in contention to be the MVP card of my main decks. They were so good. Every time I saw Lord, he was useful. Every time I saw Torrential Tribute, it was useful. The only reason that these were not the actual MVP cards is because I'm gonna get to a card later in this main deck that was actually the best card in my main deck and was deserving of the MVP card title. But yeah, this card blows out your opponent's board, especially if you're against a sprite that can set up 6 monsters. You can just kill everything, right? Or maybe you're against a Dragon Link player. They put a bunch of monsters, but they don't have. Up until the point they summon Borlo Savage, you can just blow them out at any point, right? And by the way, even when they synchro summon Borreload Savage Dragon, if they do, right, this card can be done on summon a Borreload Savage because Borreload Savage's negates get set up on its summon effect, so you can literally torrential tribute them. You're against a Flute player. They summon all their little birds, 3 birds, 4 birds. Doesn't matter how many birds. You just torrential tribute and then they're dead, right? And then their turn is over because their bird names are once per turn. Yeah, against Kashtira, let's say they summon Unicorn. Unicorn effect to get Kashtira Theosis. Kashtira Theosis on the Unicorns. Summon Fenrir. Torrential. Goodbye. Now they don't have 2 bodies, so now they have to either already have the Fenrir in hand that they can summon again, or they have all the other names like Kashtira Scareclaw, or the Rise Heart, right? But here's the thing, folks. If that's all they have, right, then that means that their board is going to be way less powerful than it would have been otherwise. So I don't run Terrors of the Overroot in this deck. Instead, I run Torrential because this card is just way better. Most of the time, you trade 1 for 2, 1 for 3, 1 for 4, 1 for everything, right? So it's just great. Terrors of the Overroot is slightly better. So Terrors of the Overroot is slightly better in the Kashtira matchup. Torrential is better in every other matchup. So yeah, that should tell you everything you need to know. Also, these are not once per turn. Terrors of the Overroot is once per turn. If you open all 3 Torrential Tributes, you can use all 3 in the same turn. You open all 3 Terrors of the Overroot, you can only use 1. So yeah, let's say you have 3 Torrential Tributes set for the sake of example. Kashtira, summon Unicorn. Kashtira Theosis, summon Fenrir from the deck. Torrential, goodbye. And then let's say in hand they had they summon Fenrir again. They get Kashtira Scareclaw. They summon Kashtira Scareclaw. They get Kashtira Tearlaments. They summon that, right? Torrential, right? And then a Rise Heart. You can literally kill all their names, right? Especially like if they Xyz in any Xyz that's not Shangri-La, you can torrential them, right? Because Shangri-La can be destroyed by card effects while it has material. But every other Xyz monster they go into, they can torrential. And if they're going second against you, they're probably going to want to go into, I mean, it depends. Like, I mean, they could go Shangri-La if they have the field spell because it gives them pop. But a lot of times they want to go in Dragossack, torrential. Or they want to go into Dark Arm Dragon, torrential, right? So yeah, this card just destroys everything. Yeah, it's never been bad. I've never bricked on this card. It's never been bad. And also, for those of you like small brain people who don't understand, be like, oh, but doesn't Torrential Tribute kill your own Labrynth monsters? Not necessarily. So all right, let's have this example. For example, let's say we have a welcome or big welcome, right? Let's say our opening hand is this, or let's say it's this, right? Actually, no. This one's more interesting. Yeah. Let's say this is our opening hand. You set 4 pass. Did you know that you are allowed to choose the order in which you activate your trap cards? Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. So you pass. They start summoning a bunch of monsters. At one point, torrential. Goodbye entire board, right? Let's say they're still able to play through that. Oh, you put up even more monsters? Torrential? Okay, let's say they're out of monsters, right? And then they go to pass, or maybe they just set some back row. End phase, activate Lady, chain big welcome, right? Then you can get out your lovely and summon your Lady. Lady bounces. Lovely can get a pop. Or actually, sorry, what you would do instead is before that, when you activate big welcome, before you activate big welcome, because you use torrential, they're normal traps. You summon Lady, then you activate big welcome. If they don't chain anything, you chain Lady. You set a trap. Lovely comes, Lady bounces, Lovely pops you a card, and you have another card ready to go. So, yeah, like you can choose the order you activate your trap card in. This card's in. How insane is that, right? Like you most of the time you want to use torrential before you summon out your boss monsters, right? Makes sense, right? But let's say, for the sake of argument or sake of example, that you already have your Lady on the field, and you don't, right? So you already have a Lady. You have some set torrentials, right? And you need a torrential for whatever reason, right? Let's say you need to activate Torrential Tribute because your opponent is putting up a bunch of monsters, and you want to kill those monsters. So what do? So let's say they put up a bunch of monsters, and now you feel, okay, their board is becoming threatening. I'm going to activate Torrential Tribute. to blow up every monster, including Lady, right? So Lady is only protected by card effect destruction if by your opponent's card effect destruction. So what you do is assume like Chainlink 1 Torrential Tribute, Chainlink 2 Lady, and then Lady can search you, big welcome. Lady dies, their entire board dies, and then next turn, you literally return Lady. See that? I torrentialed the board, I killed my own Lady, but Lady returns the very next turn, similar to Eldritch. Obviously, Eldritch is a bit more easier to return from the graveyard because you can just send any card, right? But Lady also has that, the fact that Lady can search Big Welcome off of Torrential. This is why Big Welcome is such an amazing card, right? Because it gets our monsters back from the graveyard as well, not just from there, right? And then let's say we go again, we keep playing the duel. They start setting up more monsters. You Torrential, Chainlink 1 Torrential, Chainlink 2 Lady. You set another Big Welcome from your deck. Lady dies, all their monsters dies. Subsequent turn, you Big Welcome. Lady comes back, bounces, and then you activate Lady again. Bam. Do you see that? Do you see how it doesn't matter that we're killing our own Lady? Again, they set up more monsters to try to kill you. And by the way, all these turns you're drawing a card, so you're drawing even more cards, right? And you have Big Welcomes in the graveyard that you can banish to bounce one of their cards, so you might not even need the Torrential anyway, right? They set up a bunch of more monsters. You see where I'm going with this? Like, if you're just not dumb, you should easily be able to make Torrential Tribute work. Like, I've never had a situation where Torrential Tribute screwed me. Either bricked, like I couldn't use it, or it screwed me because I had a Lady on field or whatever. Like, it just doesn't happen, right? Because you can just recover your own board like very easily. You're killing your one monster, which is generating a card to bring itself back. Meanwhile, you're killing your opponent's entire board of monsters. So, yeah, people who don't play Torrential in this deck are just out of their mind. Like, this is such an easy 3-of. 2 more copies thanks to Trap Tricks. Like, I've never not had this card be useful. This card has always been useful. So, yeah, please play Torrential Tribute. You're not going to regret it. Next, normal trap. We have 2 copies of... Where are you at? 2 copies of Dogmatic Punishment. We run 2, not 3, because this is once per turn, and it can be searched off lore, can be searched off Trap Trick, can be searched off Lady, can be searched off everything, right? So, Dogmatic Punishment, pop one of your opponent's monsters, and then if you send Elder Anti-Antis from extra, you can pop another card. Or if you send Garuru, you can draw a card. If you send Bucephalo, you can draw a card. So, it's just pure card advantage, right? Some people wanted to cut this and then do a fake extra deck to fake out Kashtira. That's stupid. Don't do that. I know I did that in my April Fool's video, but that's why it was an April Fool's video, right? So yeah, this card is cracked. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, but the only thing is it locks out your extra deck, but who cares? You don't use your extra deck anyway. More normal traps. 3 copies of Evenly Matched. You lose a die roll, you go second. Evenly Matched can just break a Kashtira board. Can break a Fluander's board. Can break your Labrynth Mirror board. Can break the Trap Tricks board, right? Can break most boards. Sprite. Can bait out the Toad or the whatever, right? And this is not once per turn. So if you open all 3 evenly matched in your hand and you're going second, let's say you're going Sprite, they have Carrot, they have Toad. Battle phase, evenly negate by Toad. Evenly negate by Carrot. Evenly, GG, right? so you know it's not once per turn. It's just funny, but also Labrynth is one of the few decks where like this card is actually like pretty good after turn 1. Like a lot of times, you have evenly matched, right? You only want to use it the first turn, but because Labrynth can search this, and because also Trap Trick, if you have Trap Trick in your opponent's battle phase, right, you can literally Trap Trick into this, and then end of battle phase you hit with them evenly, right? But like think about it this way: let's say like you have Love Lady, right, and then you have like 2 set cards, and they have like 5 or 7 cards, right? You activate a card, you search evenly, right? I remember doing this during YCS. I forget what the matchup was, but like I had 3 cards, they had 7 cards, and I had Lady evenly and like 1 other card, right? Yeah, end of battle, I just evenly, and then they have to go from 7 cards down to 3 to match my 3. That's still taking out 4 of their cards. You see what I'm saying? Like it's still useful, right? So yeah, evenly, pretty good, very good card. Still a main deck card for now. I don't think the only time I only bricked on this once in a game where I was going first, but I'll talk about that later. And then our last two normal trap cards, we have one copy of Compulsory Evacuation Device, one copy of Eradicator Epidemic Virus. So Compulsory is a one of because through playtesting, I realized that I never needed more than one of these. I never had trap tricked into this, right? I would always trap trick into Torrential, Punishment, or one of the welcome cards. Very rarely did I ever use trap trick to go into Compulsory. However, Compulsory is useful because sometimes you want to bounce instead of destroy. For example, your Mirror Jade, you want to bounce. A Shangri-Ira, not under skill drain, you want to bounce. A Rise Heart with Goliath attached, you want to bounce, right? There are some times where you want to bounce rather than destroy. So yeah, it's good to have this because searchable off Lady, searchable off Lord. You can pot into it. Yeah, it's pretty good, but I would not play more than one of this, because most of the time it trades 1-for-1. I mean, Labrynth makes this card slightly better because if you have Lovely, you can bounce one of their cards, and then Lovely can trigger and pop one of their cards. So yeah, Lovely makes it so that Punishment and Compulsion are better than they normally are. So that's why we're okay running one of these. Eradicator Epidemic Virus. This used to be This used to be a D barrier in my main deck. Literally last minute, there was like 5 minutes to submit my deck list for the tournament. I last minute swapped. This used to be in the side deck. Swapped D barrier that was in the main for this card on the side because I thought, you know what? I feel like I'm gonna see a lot more runic matchups than I expect. And this card just is amazing against Runic. Single-handedly wins, right? But also great against Trap Tricks, great against Labyrinth Mirrors. You can just win those game ones by just having this one copy in your main deck. I think you're gonna win. I think you win way more game ones with Eradicator than you win with having the one copy of D Barrier in the main. So that's why I last minute changed this out for D Barrier. So yeah. So we have 3, 6, 9, 10 plus 5 of the welcome cards. In terms of normal traps, plus pots that can help us see all these cards. So yeah, this is honestly, like, I never really lacked normal trap cards. I usually had enough that I could I could either search more off Lady, or I can just make. Because remember, technically, if you have Lady, you only need one normal trap, and then you get all of them, right? And then Lovely can also recycle these from the graveyard. So yeah. So that is our normal trap lineup. Let's get into Floodgates. 2 copies of Gozen Match. This card is still really good. I used to have 3 of these. I cut them down to 2 because not so good in the Labyrinth Mirror, and also going second against Branded doesn't feel so good. But this card did its job. This card was one step below Torrential and Lord in terms of usefulness. And the only reason I say this is because I didn't draw this card enough. Where I was like, oh, this card was an MVP card. If I had drawn this card more, it would probably be in the running for MVP card. I just didn't see it. But every time I saw it, it was useful. But I wouldn't say like, I was like, oh, I didn't see it enough. Maybe I should have played a third copy. I saw it a good number of times, right? I never felt like I didn't see it enough. Like the fact that I didn't see it cost me the game. I never felt that way. But every time I saw it, it was useful, and every time I saw it, like, pretty sure I won the game. So. Yeah, it's just a good Floodgate. Good against Kashtira. All their monsters are different attributes. Good against Runic Naturia. Their Runic monsters are lights. Their Naturia monsters are earths, and then most of their synchros are winds or waters. Right? I mean, they do have some earth synchros, but they're a lot easier to deal with. Yeah, this card is just amazing. Don't cut this down any further. Some lab players cut this down to 1 or 0 in the main deck. I think that's a mistake. We're still in a format where Gozen is amazing. Gozen, by the way, can also clear like a Sprite board. I remember one of my Sprite matchups. I opened, I kid you not, 3 ladies in hand. So I was going second against Sprite. This was game 1. I opened Gozen, I opened Torrential, and I opened Solemn Strike. This was my opening hand against a Sprite player going second. And this was enough to win. Even though this is bricky as hell, you never want to see more than 1 lady in your opening hand most of the time. Like, against Sprite, set Gozen, set Torrential, set Strike, pass return. On their draw phase, Gozen, they try to negate with whatever, like Toad, Solemn Strike. And then they have to clear their board. They kept darks because they had more dark monsters, right? And then later, so the Toad doesn't matter, and then they're under Gozen. Most Sprite players can't play under Gozen. And then at some point after they summon some more dark monsters, I Torrentialed, cleared their board, and then on end phase I can special lady, and then that's pretty much game. Because again, Sprite are very weak under Gozen. So yeah, Gozen's really good. Going first against Sprite is like a free win. They summon Nimble Beaver, summon a second Beaver, activate Gozen, their turn is over. So yeah, play Gozen. Especially since Sprite is more prevalent. Kashtira is still like everywhere, right? It's good against Kashtira as well. Obviously, they can out this with Fenrir, or they can out this with Draco Sack, or with what's it called, the Dark Arm monster. But again, that's assuming this is not the only card you have, hopefully. And most of the time they have to hard draw, either double Fenrir with Birth, or like Fenrir with Kashtira's Claw, or something, right? Right. But then hopefully you have other cards to prevent them from going into their Xyz monsters. Even against certain matchups where like you would think that this is not as good, like for example, branded. Going first, it can be good. Like if they branded Fusion, they make a light monster branded the Lubellion. You can goes in and then they're locked on the lights, and what do? They make like Despin Quarters and pass, and like yeah, way worse of a board. Against Dragon Link, especially ones that use a Chaos package, right? The White Dragon's a light. You have Romulus, which is an Earth. Sorry, which is a Wind. If they run the Bishop package, Bishop Lubellion is a light, so they can't even go into Branded Beast, right? If they can't get into light monsters, so this can be good against Fluanderes. They go Robina, you flip this, and then they're locked into waters, and what do? They just pass, right? So even against matchups where you think that this is not as good, it can be surprisingly good, depending on the who goes first, right? So yeah, 3 copies of Gozen, 2 copies of Gozen, 3 copies of Skill Drain. This is the best Floodgate, obviously. Pretty sure every Labrynth player plays this at 3, and if they don't, then they're kidding themselves. Like this card just wins games, right? Shuts down all your opponent's Cashier monsters. Shuts down based on their skill drain. The only way they can do anything to out like your ladies or lord is if they have like ogre with like the field spell, right? And even then, like if you have a punishment or something, you can take it out. But other than that, like under skill drain, most decks can't do anything. Sprite can't do much. I mean, really can because they have their spells, but yeah, Skoda just wins games. Like all your monsters are big bodies that are easy to summon out that without the requirement of skill drain. It doesn't even matter that you negate your lady or your lovely because you're probably going to win under skill drain anyway. So yeah, this card was great. Most of the time when I saw this, it won me the game. So yeah, it was useful. Like same tier as Gozen. Like and it wasn't as good as like Lord or Torrential or like another card I'm about to show you, but it was still like a card that I would never cut down like to fewer than 3 because it's just like so amazing. And then finally, the last Floodgate I'm running is 2 copies of Imperial Iron Wall, baby. Let's go. Yes, in the main deck. We are maining Imperial Iron Wall. This is the best card in the deck. This card blew out every other card in terms of like its usefulness. Every time I saw this card, like it was just great. It did its job and then some. Like this used to be my side deck for those of you who watch my previous videos, or I've hinted at putting this in. It definitely earned its main deck status because this card, Kashtira can't do shit. Runic can't do anything. It's just amazing. Dragon Link, if they can't banish, what do? They can't go Levineer. They can't use Bestials. They can't use their Chaos package. They can't use so much, right? They can't use Safer. So many cards they can't use under Iron Wall. It's incredible. It's insane how incredible this card was. And the cool part about this is this is the one Floodgate you can set off Lord, and then you activate it before your end phase because it can't banish itself, right? So normally Lord banishes whatever it searches, but if you flip Iron Wall, which says neither player can banish them, it does not banish. So this is literally a searchable Floodgate off Lord. Because we're not running Extravagance, almost every time that I activated Lord, if I didn't have Iron Wall, I would grab Iron Wall unless I needed Engine, right? So Iron Wall is just, this card is just insanely cracked. Yeah, against Flu, they scoop, right? Against Runic, they can't do anything. Their only plays is like go into Dog, and hope that you attack Dog, right? And then the Dog can pop this. But then you don't attack Dog, right? You set up your virus, you hit them with virus, and then they scoop anyway. Like, yeah, like you have if you have Gozen and Iron Wall up face up against Runic Naturia player, they're dead to rights. There's nothing else that they can do except hope that you're dumb enough to attack their Dog and then let Dog pop, right? I guess that's the only thing, right? Otherwise, you can just draw your out or draw your lady, search your virus, hit them with virus, and then that's pretty much game from there, right? So yeah, this is insanely good. MVP card, MVP. This is the MVP card right here, Iron Wall in the main deck. 2 copies is all I needed. I saw it exactly the amount of times I needed to see it, especially thanks to Lord. This also stops evenly match, folks. Main deck evenly match. They go battle phase. You say no. No evenly. Sorry. And by the way, everyone is citing Cosmic Cyclones because everyone hates Runic. Guess what? This also stops Cosmic Cyclones, right? Like they try to Cosmic Cyclone take out your skill drain or take out one of your other cards. You flip this and then Cosmic Cyclone does nothing. They just paid 1,000 life points for nothing, right? This card is amazing. Please main deck 2 of these. The top 16 Labrynth player who made it to YCS in YCS London, he played this. I don't know if it was in his main or in the side. Maybe he already dropped the deck profile, but he did have this in his deck, either main or side. This should be in the main, 100% in the main. This is really good, and some people might say, oh, what about anti-synergy, right? Don't you banish in your deck, right? Like for example, under Iron Wall you can't use a Pot of Prosperity. Under Iron Wall you can't use Trap Trick. Under Iron Wall you can't use Big Welcome to banish yourself from the graveyard to bounce. My response to that is one, again you can choose the order you activate your cards, and two, Iron Wall hurts your opponent so much that it doesn't even matter that you can't banish Big Welcome to bounce a card. Like I never that conflict or lack thereof never came up during the tournament. So check this out. Let's say you open in your opening hand in pure Iron Wall, you open Prosperity, and you open Trap Trick, and then you open 2 other cards, like whatever. They could be anything, right? Let's say this is in your opening hand. It's your turn. Turn 1. Your first turn. Activate Prosperity. Cool. Because Iron Wall isn't on the field yet, so you activate Prosperity, you get your excavate, you set these 2. Hopefully you set other cards, right? Again, Trap Trick will almost always be the last trap you activate. You start playing out their turn. At some point, you need an Iron Wall because you don't want them to banish a card. You do Chainlink 1 Iron Wall, and no response. Chainlink 2 Trap Trick because Iron Wall isn't active yet. You Trap Trick into a card, and then you set it. And then there you go. You just dodged Iron Wall with Prosperity and Trap Trick, right? And guess what? Because we only run 2 of these, you're probably not going to see your second one anyway, or you're not going to need your second one anyway. So, again, the conflict that it has with Trap Trick and Prosperity never came up for me. Never, ever, ever came up for me. In fact, Iron Wall prevented my opponent's, one of the cashier players that I played from using their Prosperity. Awesome, right? It's so good. It's so good. Please play it. If you're not playing it, I think you're kidding yourselves. Right now, it's the best format for this because of all the Runic running around, because of all the cashier running around. Obviously, this doesn't do much against Sprite. However, you can use this against chain this to Sprite Smashers, and then Sprite Smashers does nothing. Or like under this, or if this is already face up, they can't even Sprite Smashers. So and then they can't even remove back row. So yeah, this card is cracked. Best card in the deck right here. I wish I could award this card a medal just for being the best card of my main deck. It was insanely good. Let me show you one of the opening hands I had. This is against a Dark World player. I opened Double Lord, Iron Wall, Double Lady. So you might say, oh, that's a bricky hand. Like, how do you play with this hand? You're right. It is normally a bricky hand. Try not to see Double Lord. I mean, it's okay. Obviously, you prefer to see only one because you can't activate the second one. But the second Lord does give you follow-up for the subsequent turn. Double Lady, obviously, is very unfortunate. So, like, if these were subbed out for, like, 2 other traps, like, this hand would just be godly. But, again, I was against a Dark World player. This is game 2. I was going first. What I did was activate Lord, set Iron Wall. Pass, right? They do their thing. They search the field spell, the Dark World's field spell. They activate it. And then on resolution, I activate Iron Wall. Guess what, folks? The Dark World field spell must banish for cost. If they can't banish for cost, it does nothing. And they had 2 copies of the field spell in their hand because they searched it off of the Kento or Bento, whatever the searching one Dark World monster is, right? And this just says no. So I literally shut off their field spell. And guess what? During their combo, Grapha was in the graveyard. And that means that Iron Wall stops them from using their fusion spell. So the Dark World fusion spell banishes materials off field or graveyard, but not from hand. So if all their materials are in hand, they can use it. But if they're not, then they can't use it, right? So anyway, I Iron Wall, I activate Lord to special, and then I grabbed and set Big Welcome from my deck. So yeah, they couldn't do anything. they went into an access code because that's literally all they could do because they can't use the Dark World Fusion spell, they can't use the Dark World Fusion spell, and then they've made access code 5300, but then they realized, oh shit, access code needs to banish cards to pop cards, so they couldn't pop cards. So all they did was swing access code into Lord. Cool. My turn. I draw a card. Forgot what it was. It doesn't matter. I activate Big Welcome. I chain Lady. Lovely comes out. Mounts Lady. Lovely pop their 5300 access code. And then they have nothing else. And then, yeah. Like, you see how crazy this is? I ended up winning that game. With that brick of a hand, I still ended up winning that game. That's how insane that hand, Iron Wall can be. Like, Iron Wall can just completely shut down your opponent from doing anything, depending on the matchup, obviously. So, yeah, definitely play 2 of these. I would not, I mean, just the fact that it was such a good card, I wish, like, you would think, oh, maybe I should play more, but, you know, you don't really want to see more than 1, right? Because, again, it's, unless you know they're going to pop it, but, yeah, this card, like, did work. This card did so much work this weekend. Words cannot even describe how good it was. So, anyway, so that's the Floodgates. We're playing 8 Floodgates. Let's do quick math, folks. People say, oh, you don't want to play too many Floodgates in Labrynth. People who say they're idiots, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of my 40 cards are Floodgates. What does that mean? That means that less than 1 in 5, so almost 1 in 5 of my cards, of all the cards in my deck, are Floodgates. That means in a 5-card opening hand, on average, 1 of those cards will be one of these Floodgates, which is fine. Like, opening 1 Floodgate is typically enough, right? And then the other cards will be other things. But, yeah, never bricked on too many Floodgates or Iron Wall or any of these. Just great cards. All right, so we've gone through most of the deck. That was 38 cards. There's only 2 cards left. The reason I saved them for last, I don't save the best for last. I save the worst for last, right? So these 2 cards were the worst cards in my main deck. They were 2 copies of Sphere Mode. Yes, I moved 2 Sphere Mode into my main deck. The reason for being is because at locals, during playtesting online, this card was doing a lot of work because, again, I was seeing Kashtira everywhere. I was seeing Sprite everywhere. And guess what? Going second, most of the time, Kashtira and Sprite decks make 3 monsters. If they go a Rise Heart Pass, then you won anyway. It doesn't even matter if you have Sphere Mode. But the point is that in playtesting, I was also seeing a lot of Adventure, right? Which I'll get into later. Sphere Mode is just good against those. So during playtesting and at locals, this card was amazing. At this YCS, this was the worst card in my deck. This card might have cost me games because there were literally games where I opened, going first, like I win the die roll, game 1. I opened Sphere Mode evenly and like 3 cards, and I'm just like, oh fuck. If only this Sphere Mode was any other trap card or any other like card that's useful, I would have won that. I probably would have won that game. So yeah. So unfortunately, I did break on this card a lot. This card almost never came up. The one time I needed this card to come up and didn't was against the Dark World player. Game 1 against Dark World, he set up a full board of monsters. I needed to see this card and I didn't see it. So that was the one time where I needed this card and didn't see it. And then there were too many times where I did not need this card and I did see it. So yeah, this card was the worst card in my main deck. I highly regret putting it in my main deck, but again, it was good in playtesting, so, you know, I was fooled into thinking that this was, but again, day 2 of YCS on Sunday, I literally moved this in my side deck, and then all of a sudden, it was a good card again. So, yeah, it's crazy how you can go from being a shit card to being a good card by just relocating it from the main deck to the side deck. But yeah, so it was unfortunate that, you know, this card did, almost nothing. Although there was a funny time where I was game 1 against Runic Naturia. They opened a cracked hand where they literally ended a board on like Fountain, Barone, Barkion, and Runic Wings. And that was the one time where this card was hilarious. I opened this and then like, oh, Barone 1, Barkion 2, Runic Wings 3. Here you go. And then I attributed Barone, Barkion, and Runic Wings, and I gave him this. And hilariously enough, Sphere Mode, it returns to my field, can't be targeted by card effects. And guess what Runic does, folks? All the Runic cards target. So they literally couldn't kill me. So yeah, hilariously, even though in playtesting I very rarely use this against Runic. This was better against like Sprite and Kashtira. A few times it was useful against Runic, but Runic Naturia. And at YCS, there was that one time where like, oh, Barone, Barkion, and that was the best use of this card was in that one game. Every other game, this card was open when I didn't need it, or when I did need it, I didn't see it. So yeah, very sad. I do not recommend main decking Sphere mode right now because the deck diversity is a lot bigger than I expected. Yeah, but in the side deck, this would be amazing. So anyway, so that's my main deck. Obviously, like I said, I made between after Saturday, like the first day of the YCS, I made changes to the deck so that I can go into the side events at day 2 and do a lot better. And after I did the changes day 2, it was a lot better. So let's get into the extra deck. This is still the first day 1 extra deck. So 3 copies of Labrynth and Tis. Best target for Dogmatic Punishment. 1 copy of Garura. 1 copy of Pegasus. 1 copy of Mega. 1 copy of Mirror Logic. 2 copies of Bucephalus. By the way, before I swapped from Pot of Extract to Pot of Prosperity, there was one game at my locals. I think it was against a Sword Soul guy in like one of the finals or something, where my Extrav banished all 3 Entis. Right. So again, variance. Right. Extrav is high reward but high variance. So under Prosperity, I knew that would never happen. You would never banish all 3 Entises. So anyway, Dogmatic Punishment targets. This one gets you a second pop. This one draws you a card. This one gives you a bounce to your opponent's deck. This one bounces cards in the graveyard. This card negates face-up cards. This card, Bucephalus, is a big body, 3500 that sends Garura, so it gets you a draw, right? So, yeah, I would say the least whelming cards were these 2. I used all of these during the YCS, and I didn't use Pegasus or Aggregator at all. Omega was actually more useful than you can possibly imagine. I use this more ways than one, which I'll get into later. But yeah, so this is extra deck. If you want to cut anything, these are the punishment targets of the extra deck. If you want to cut anything, cut these, but definitely keep these. I don't. A lot of lab players like to have 2 Garuras in case Cashier banishes one of them. That's fine. The only reason I don't have 2 Garuras is I didn't want to pay for it. It was like a $30 card, and I got my first Garura when it was like between $5 and $10. So yeah, when I went to go buy a second, I'm like, oh wait, it's $30+. Yeah, f that. I'm good with just 1 Garura. So yeah, you can go to Bucephalus at 3 if you want. So those are the punishment targets. Let's get into non-punishment targets in the extra deck. So we have what 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards here. So we are running 1 copy of Dingirsu. This is the only punishment target, non-punishment target XCs that I would not cut. This should always be in your deck. It's so good. It's 2 level 8s. You can make it with 2 ladies or Lady Lovely. Yeah, this is not only out for Dragoon or other monsters that can be targeted or destroyed by card effects, because when you summon it, you send a card onto the graveyard, non-targeting, right? But also, when it has material, your opponent tries to blow out your board with like a Harpies, you can detach material to nothing gets destroyed. So this is protection as well. I only made this once during the YCS to out one of my opponents. I forget what it was, but it was, yeah, so it was good. So I did use this once, and it was great. Even in playtesting, I used it a few times. It was also great. Do not cut this. This is great. Next, other XCs. I'm playing a small Zeus package. 1 copy of number 23 Lancelot, Dark Knight of the Underworld. 1 copy of Divine Arsenal AA Zeus. This never came up, but it could have. In playtesting, it did come up a few times. So Lancelot is a rank 8 that allows you to attack directly. Let's read what it says. This card can attack your opponent directly while it has Xyz material. If this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can target face a monster your opponent controls, destroy it. So it can attack directly, it can pop after it attacks. Then it says, once per turn during either player's turn, when a spell trap card or another monster's effect is activated, detach the material to negate the activation. Mandatory negate. So, yeah, you can attack directly and then make Zeus over it. So I never did it during YCS. Came up only a few times playtesting. If you want to cut this for other cards, feel free, because not that important, but it can be. It's always good to have a way to get to Zeus if push comes to shove and you need a Zeus, right? Next, 1 copy of number 38 Hope Harbinger. Note it's only in the inner sleeve because this is one of the cards that I cut going into the day 2 of the YCS for the side events. Yeah, during playtesting it came up a couple times. It's a spell negate that attaches. So that means if they Runic Fountain, you can negate it, attach it, and then they can't revive, bring it back with Dog, right? Branded Fusion, you negate it, it attaches, and then they can't bring it back with Retribution or with Tragedy. So yeah, this card can be useful, but it never came up during YCS. Only a couple times during playtesting, and feel free to cut it. I certainly did. And then last two cards, one copy of Lingeribo to get rid of Ibly. I never got Iblied. None of my friends that were there got Iblied. I didn't see anyone getting Iblied, so maybe people are just shying away from Ibly. But for now, just keep this in just in case people still Ibly. And then one copy of Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. This can be made with 3 names, Lord, Lady, Lovely, for example. Or if you made Lingeribo off Libly, like Lingeribo, Lady, Lord. Basically, this is a boss monster. Once you make it with level 7 or higher, which our main monsters are, cannot be destroyed by card or targeted by card effects. When you attack and destroy a monster, it banishes a card non-targeting. So, yeah, if you can make this against Runic, you pretty much win the game, honestly. Like, because most of their cards target, right? And if you banish their field spell after attacking one of their monsters, yeah, they're pretty screwed. So, I would keep this in. Same with Lingeribo, unless people are shying away from Ibly. But for now, keep this in. So that's the extra deck. Let's go into the side deck. 1 copy of Sphere Mode, 3 copies of Lava Golem. So the biggest mistake I made was moving 2 copies of Sphere Mode to the main deck. They should be here in the side deck because that's where it belongs. I had a misread during playtesting, thinking that the main deck Sphere Modes were good, and it was not good at all during the YCS, except for that one time I told you about. So yeah, Lava Golem was actually more useful because because it was in the side deck, right? It was not clogging up my main deck. But also against Flu, if they make like Apex Avion and because there's no more barrier statue, right? Apex Avion with M-Pen, you contribute, right? This came up once against a Dragon Link Bistio player. They ended on they got like full combo. They ended on what was it? Borderland Dragon and Borderload Savage Dragon, which is 2 monsters. This is like game 2. I draw for turn, right? Stand by main. He's like, yeah. Do you have? And he was like joking around. Oh, I hope you don't have Lava Golem. He's like, do you have Lava Golem? Yes. I immediately like. It was just funny, the interaction. He's like, I was like, oh, are you gonna Lava Golem me? Yes. I just like immediately like, as soon as he said it, yes. It was just funny. Goodbye Borland. Goodbye Borload Savage. Have a Lava Golem. Yeah, this card is good. Going second against Sprite, Kashtira, decks that put up 2 or more monsters, I would always side in 3 Lava Golems and the third Sphere Mode. Obviously, if once we went to day 2 and we moved those Sphere Modes to the side, I put those in as well. But yeah, just don't forget, folks, that Pod Duality conflicts with Lava Golem. You cannot Lava Golem if you Duality and vice versa. So when you put in Lava Golem into your main deck, you take out Duality. It's that simple. That's how you avoid the conflict. Some people like to play Kaijus, but Kaiju is only good against 1-board monsters. 1-board monsters you should be able to deal with like 3, 4, 5 back rows. So yeah, don't be afraid of 1-board monsters. 2 or more board monsters can be more annoying. So 2 or more monster boards, not board monsters, monster boards. So one monster board's easy to do. You don't need a Kaiju. 2 or more monster boards, yeah, just get rid of it, right? And Lava Golem, if you open 2, you can, and you have 3 cards, you can tribute 2 and then tribute Lava and the third. So Lava Golem is not once per turn, whereas Sphere Mode is, because Sphere Mode eats your normal summon. But yeah, the double Lava Golem never came up, but it could have, right? So yeah, definitely run 3 Lava Golems and 3 Sphere Mode on the side. Unfortunately, I had just the 1. Next, we have 1 copy of D-Barrier, 1 copy of Eradicator. So this D-Barrier used to be in the main. I moved this aside last second. Came up a few times. It's a good one-up to have because it's a lingering Floodgate. And like against decks like Brandy, you can shut them down. Sword Soul, you can shut them down. Cashew, you can shut them down. And because it's a normal trap, search by search by Lady, search by Lord. It can be recycled by Lovely. It's just a good card to just have access to. Second copy of Eradicator Virus. It's so that we can trap trick into it. So against Runic matchups, trap tricks or Labyrinth Mirrors, we side in Eradicator Virus, and we and now we can trap trick into it. By the way, folks, I also side this in against Kashtira. Well, obviously Branded too, right? Branded call spells. Goodbye. Against Branded, let them Aluber first. Yeah. So after their Aluber searches, you can hit them for spells. Or if you don't want to wait for that, then I guess you can virus immediately. Because like Branded opening will be used in draw phase to most of the time, right? I guess if they, if you wait for main phase, maybe they just hard drew the Brand of Fusion, then they play it. Against Kashtira, let them search with Unicorn. So summon the Unicorn, they search Kashtira, Theosis, or the Birth, and then you hit them with Virus, call spells. No Kashtira Field Spell, no Birth, no Theosis. And they're just sitting on a Unicorn like, uh-oh, what do I do now? Nothing! Unless they hard drew Rise Heart or the Kashtira Scareclaw, which not likely, but and then you play through the rest of the board with your other cards. So yeah, definitely have at least 2 viruses, one in the main, either one in the main, one on the side, or 2 on the side. If you want to do 3 on the side, I guess you can, but there's other cards that I think you should have in the side. So anyway, I did ran 2 copies of Witch's Strike. Note these are in the inner sleeves because I took them out after day 1. So I had a slightly incorrect format read where I thought, based on playtesting and based on especially the results of YCS Lima, that there was going to be a lot more adventure decks running around. So for those of you who didn't see YCS Lima or the results of YCS Lima, in YCS Lima, there were a lot of topping decks that had Adventure Salamangreat, Adventure Kashtira, Adventure Sprite, Adventure Plunder, right? There was a lot of Adventure running around. I noticed from after YCS Lima, and I thought, wait a minute, is Adventure making a comeback? If so, this is the card for Adventure. In playtesting, I did see a lot of Adventure, so I thought it was worth keeping this in the main deck for YCS. So at YCS, like during the event, I only resolved this once, and it was against a Baron de Fleur that a Dragon Link player made. It was a Bestial Dragon Link player. So they made Baron. I got her negate, and then I used Witch's Strike to blow out hand and field. So it did come up. I resolved it once. However, it was like I sided it multiple times. I sided against Runic Nature because they make Baron. I sided against Sprite because they have Toad, right? I did side this against other matchups. I just never saw it. So, and in those games where I sided in, I also didn't see Trap Trick in those games. So, I don't know. So I wouldn't say it's a bad card. It's just, I don't know. There's probably better cards I could have, right? And in fact, on day 2, I took these out for other cards. But yeah, the one time, so it's 1 for 1 in that the one time I saw it, I resolved it. So, great. Did his job. Single-handedly won me the game. And against certain matchups, Adventure Sprite, Adventure Plunder, Adventure whatever, this school single-handedly win you the game. The problem is, like, well, what if you don't see it, right? Or, like, what if you're against a deck that doesn't have? They no-sided in, but I don't know. I ended up cutting this simply because there was less Adventure than I expected, essentially. But if your locals has a lot of people playing Adventure, again, even the the 2 videos ago, I posted the Suship player, the guy from my locals who played Suship. He was playing Adventure Suship. So if I played against him and he made it, I can Witch's Strike on his Adventure. So again, it's not this card is fine. It's good. It just wasn't as good as I anticipated, simply because I didn't see as much Adventure, and even the times when I decided, I just didn't see it. So it's hard to really evaluate how well this card did. But in playtesting, it was pretty good. So yeah, so I ended up cutting this. Next, 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. You need this to stop back row clear. Stops Evenly, stops Lightning Storm, stops Harpies, right? Don't chain this to Cosmic, because it's like, especially if they target this, like, Cosmic pay 1,000, target Judgment pay 4,000. No, just let it happen, right? Most of the time, you do not chain this to Cosmic, but you definitely chain it to Harpies, Lightning Storm, Evenly. So yeah, this card is fine. Again, so in terms of back row protection, we have this. We have Judgment. We have 3 Lords, and we have 2 Iron Walls. Iron Wall stops Cosmics and Evenlies, right? I saw no Twin Twisters, so yeah, Evenly and Cosmic were the most common. So in theory, Iron Wall with this is you have 5 ways to stop the back row blowout. And even if if you have Lord and they do evenly match you, you sit on Skill Drain, and maybe they can't even play through Skill Drain. They lose anyway. So yeah, Judgment very good, mandatory in the side deck. There was a time during playtesting where I was maining these 3, but then I realized, oh wait, instead of maining Solemn, I can main Iron Wall instead, and it's just as good. Because again, the reason I try to main these is because of the main deck Evenly. No one main deck Lightning Storm, but main deck Evenly, Iron Wall could deal with that problem. So, all right. So the final 4 cards of my deck, of my side deck, these my spice. These are cards that I put in last minute. Like, I didn't own these cards. Well, I own one of them. But I literally received these cards in the mail 2 days before the YCS. Okay, and this little these cards here are so incredibly good. It's so spicy that once I show you what they are, you're gonna be like, "Oh my God, that's genius! Why did I not think of this before?" That's how I felt. So these last cards in the side deck were incredible. Incredible in playtesting, incredible in the YCS, and I'm about to show you why. So the 4 cards are 1 copy of Psy-Frame Driver, 3 copies of Psy-Frame Gear Epsilon. No, this is not Gamma. This is not Gamma. This is not Gamma. This is Psy-Frame Gear Epsilon. What the hell is a Psy-Frame Gear Epsilon? Let's read it, shall we? So, similar to Gamma, it's a level 2 tuner. It says, cannot be normal summon set, must be special summon by card effect, and can be special summon other ways during either player's turn. When your opponent activates a trap card while you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand and 1 Psy-Frame Driver from hand or graveyard, hand deck or graveyard, and if you do, negate the activation, and if you do that, destroy the card. Then banish both during the end phase. So yes, this is a negate for traps, not for monster effects. Wait a minute, trap cards? Why the hell would you want to negate trap cards in this current format? I'll tell you why. Because some of the best, strongest cards against Labrynth are, ironically enough, trap cards, baby. Evenly Matched is a trap card. Yes, it is a trap card. That means you can negate Evenly Matched with this. What? Guess what? Eradicator Epidemic Virus is a trap card. And guess who's running Eradicator Epidemic Virus? Labrynth can run it. Brandon can run it. Sprite can run it. Kashtira can run it. If you do you hate getting hit by Eradicator Epidemic Virus? Not anymore, baby, because we have Psy-Frame Gear Epsilon. This card is insanely cracked. It's so good. Words can't describe how amazing this was. I discovered this, like, the last time I went to locals. I played against former YCS champion Brian Chen, who was playtesting Labrynth at the time. I don't know if he took Labrynth to the YCS because I didn't ask him. Yeah, so we played a Labrynth Mirror in the finals. He beat me because of this, because he had this card. I mean, you know, he also had like better hand in general, but he showed me this card and he told me that he told me about it because I didn't know it was a thing, right? But this card is insane. Like, not just Eradicator Epidemic Virus. Let's think about other cards, right? Let's say you're against Flanderies, and they end on MPM, you know, Dreamy Town. Dreamy Town's a trap. I literally used this against a Flute player to negate his Dreamy Town. And then he was completely fucked, right? Because he couldn't search a Big Bird, set up Apex Avian, set up Ryza, bounce cards, right? So he literally just lost his turn because of this card. What else is a trap card? Royal Decree, baby. Let's say your opponent has Royal Decree sighted. They activate Royal Decree, chain, negate, and destroy Royal Decree. Bam, bam. This is insanely good. Branded Expulsion. So a lot of branded players side deck Jinzo. Why? Because they can use they can mill Jinzo to use Branded Fusion, and then they search Branded Expulsion. On your turn, they shotgun Branded Expulsion, summon Jinzo to their field. Branded Expulsion is a trap card, folks. And what does this card negate? It negates trap cards. No Branded Expulsion, no Jinzo. Great. Kashtira activates Kashtira Preparations, a card that can special Kashtira monsters freely, but also it can rip banish cards out of your hand if you use trap cards. Negate and destroy. Bam. Oh, Kashtira Preparations, chain, negate, destroy. Bam. This card is insanely cracked. It's so good. Kashtira matchups. Sorry. Labrynth Mirror matchups. You're against a Labrynth player. Let's say they don't have virus, but again, negate any of their cards, right? You're against Trap Tricks, right? Maybe they want a Gravekeeper's Trap Hole you, Floodgate Trap Hole you. Negate, summon, right? This card is so good. It's so good. And the thing that makes it better than Gamma, and by the way, a lot of Sprite players also like to play. I think it's called Sprite Double Cross. It's a trap card that allows them to either steal one of your monsters or revive Toad or whatever. Or they mill a Floodgate to their graveyard, like maybe the water statue or maybe the Eret. You know that monster that's like neither player can special summon monsters greater than 1900 attack. So one thing they try to do is sometimes they mill that card and then they use like with Sprint, for example, and then they use Double Cross on your draw phase to summon that monster and floodgate you out. If they Double Cross, chain, Epsilon, bam. And then you either force out Toad or you force out the Sprite Red, the Sprite Red. But Epsilon is so freaking good. And the thing that makes this better than Psyframe Gamma is the fact that, so with Psyframe Gamma, most of the time you're negating a monster effect on your opponent's turn. You side in Gamma going second, your opponent's combo pops off, or combos, you activate Gamma, you negate and destroy their monster, and then at the end phase, this gets banished, right? But the thing is, because this negates trap cards are activated on your turn, not your opponent's turn. So if you're going second, you side this in, your opponent sets up their board, let's say they set up a really annoying trap card, like Virus or Royal Decree, whatever, you pass to you. On your draw phase, they try to make a thing, make a play, maybe Virus or Royal Decree, or whatever, Expulsion. You chain this, you summon this. And guess what, folks? This is summoned on your turn, not your opponent's turn, which means on your main phase, you can synchro these off for the big boy himself, Psyframe Lord Omega, which is a 2800 body. You can maybe swing into them, and then on main phase, you can banish to rip a card out of their hand. How insane is that? You haven't even set any cards, and you're already negating, attacking, and ripping cards out of their hands. This card is cracked, yo. It's so cracked. Also. Oh, it gets even better why this card is so insane. Okay, so the reason you can make Psyframe Lord Omega is because it's a Synchro 8, right? This is a tuner, level 2, and a level 6 tuner. So it's a Synchro 8. However, there is another Synchro 8 that you can make that is not in my extra deck because I do not own the card. The name of that Synchro 8 is, I believe it's called Excel Stardust Synchro Dragon. It's a Synchro 8 monster that was released in Maze of Memories, the latest set, the one that had the Barone reprint, right? The one with the Gate Guardian stuff. In that set, there's a level 8 Synchro, I'm pretty sure it's new, called Excel Stardust Synchro Dragon. I believe it's worth $20 right now on TCG Play. I'm probably going to pick up a copy soon. Because, again, I found out about this very, very late. So check this out, folks. So let's say, instead of making Omega, right, you negate a trap card, you make this, you synchro into Excel Stardust Synchro Dragon, right? So let's pretend that it's this card. For those of you who don't know what that dragon does, its effect goes something like this. You can tribute as a quick effect. So it has two effects. A slow effect allows you to special a tuner from your graveyard. So you can literally use that slow effect to return Epsilon from your graveyard. The same Epsilon you just used. And then you have a level 8 Synchro monster and a level 2 tuner. Synchro into Baronne de Fleur, baby. Baronne de Fleur. Yes. With this, Labrynth can now play Baronne de Fleur. Crazy, right? And then Baronne de Fleur can pop, it can negate, and then you can still set your cards. All because you sided this in to stop Virus, stop Royal Decree, stop Expulsion, stop Evenly Matched, stop whatever, right? How insane is that? And by the way, that Excel Stardust Synchro Dragon has a second effect. So one effect is it can revive a tuner. The other is it can quick effect tribute itself to summon Stardust Dragon from your extra deck. Now, why does that matter? Two reasons. One, if you use its effect to revive Epsilon and they chain a negate, like a target negate, like let's say they chain Imperm, they chain Veiler, they chain Chi-Shao, they chain whatever. You can chain this to get it off the field because it tributes your cost, and then from your extra deck you summon Stardust Dragon, right? Stardust Dragon is also a level 8 tuner. Sorry, a level 8 Synchro. And then its first effect will revive Epsilon, and then you make Baronne de Fleur. And the other effect that Excel Stardust Synchro Dragon has is that I think when you synchro, if you use that effect, if you synchro, your whatever monster you make is unaffected by card effects that turn or this turn, right? So if you use that, right, and then you synchro away Epsilon and whatever in the level 8 to make Baronne, your Baronne will be unaffected by card effects this turn. How crazy is that, right? So yeah, this is so the only reason I didn't play Baronne and that Excel Stardust Synchro Dragon is again I got this card late. I didn't even know I was gonna get it, and because I didn't know about that Stardust Excel Synchro Dragon, I found out about that after I found out about this card. But now that I know about it, I'm probably gonna buy it, even though it's like a $20 card. But it's because I already owned Baronne de Fleur, by the way. I got it a long time ago. But yeah, so this is insane. And by the way, folks, another thing you can do against so you know how I said that you can synchro this off into Excel Stardust Synchro Dragon, and you can quick effect tribute this to summon Stardust Dragon from your extra deck. Guess what Stardust Dragon's effect is? Stardust Dragon has an effect. If your opponent attempts to pop your cards, 2 or more cards. Is it 2 or more? No. If your opponent attempts to pop any cards on your field, you can tribute Stardust Dragon, or maybe it's banish. Whatever. It's a quick effect. You get off the field, and it negates the effect of a pop, right? So let's say your opponent has Sword Soul Blackout, or they have a Guardian Chimera, right? They attempt to pop 1, 2, 3, however many cards, or maybe they have a set Twin Twizzlers. They have whatever. They try to pop one of your cards. You can that Stardust Dragon, instead of synchroing it with Epsilon into the Barone, you can just use its effect to negate the pop. I mean, obviously Barone can negate as well, but I'm just saying, like, you have that extra toolbox that you can use, right? All because we're side decking Side Frame Gear Epsilon. And guess what, folks? Guess what? So when you go to these big events, YCS regionals, or even like a locals where maybe they know your deck a little bit, there are times when your opponent makes you go. So let's say you win game 1 or game 2, and we go to game 2 or game 3, we have to side, and you think, because you won the last game, you side to go second, thinking that you're going to go second, right? But your opponent makes you go first, right? So sometimes this happens. Sometimes you're playing a back row trap deck where your opponent tricks you. They make you side for going second, but they make you go first. This card shines in that scenario. Why? Because, so first of all, most of the time when we go second, we want to side this in against. There's a lot of matches where this is useful. Most of the time when we're going second, we usually keep 1 or 2 copies of Lord. By the way, feel free when going second, you can side out a copy of Lord if they don't have any quick effect pops they can use on their field. So against like Guardian Chimera, a Sword Soul Blackout, like cards that do pop on your turn, you keep 3 copies of Lord. But sometimes if you're siding in against decks that don't have those quick effect pops, you keep 2 Lords or you keep 1 Lord. You side it out, right? But so most of the time, going second, you have 1 or 2 or 3 Lords. So you still have some number of Lords, right? And most of the time, you still have your Prosperities, right? So if they make you go first and they attempt to hit you with Lightning Storm, maybe you have a Lord. Or if they attempt to hit you with Evenly Matched, that trap card that can blow out your board, you can negate it with Epsilon. Obviously, because they evenly on their turn, you can't synchro these into Omega. But it doesn't matter. You can negate Evenly Matched with this. Like, going first, right? So, this card is really good. It's so good. Words can't describe how good this card is. So, and guess what, folks? Even better, if you have on your field Impure Iron Wall, right? And you make this, let's say on your opponent's turn, they don't go away. They don't get banished on the end phase. You keep the bodies on your turn, and then you can make Omega or whatever. Or you can go into that Barone de Fleur player that I mentioned. So this card is insanely good. It was not the MVP card, because obviously Iron Wall is the MVP card, and it's not a main deck card, but when I sided this in the right matchup, so you don't side it every matchup, but in the right matchups, you side this in, it does so much work. It does so much work, right? I sided this in against the Dark World player. Why? Because Dark World can side in Eradicator, and you don't want to deal with that. Obviously, by the way, this can get ashed. So if they have ash, they negate you. Or, it's not perfect. Obviously, they can negate, right? But yeah, like it's so good. Please play this in the side deck. You will not, once you start playing with this and you realize, wow, this does a lot of work in the current format. So if we move on to a future format where no one's maining evenly, or no one's siding Virus, no one's siding Royal Decree, you don't have to worry about Jinzo because of Expulsion. If we move into that format, then maybe you can take these out. But right now, this is insanely good. Insanely good. Again, this was a last-minute spicy tech that I discovered. I didn't invent it. Like, Brian Chen told me about it. But hopefully this catches on Labrynth decks, because this is amazing. This is so freaking good. So good. So yeah. Once I get my Stardust Cell Synchro Dragon, it's going to go in with Barone de Fleur and Stardust Dragon. And basically, what do you cut? If you want, you can to add in those 3 synchros. You can cut these 3, for example. You can cut the less useful punishment targets. It's up to you, but we definitely have extra room to spare. But also that means that we kind of still want to be on prosperity because we don't want to extra have banish those, randomly banish those cards. Although even if we do, this is still really good. Negate a big high impact trap card. This is just really freaking good. So yeah, there was literally a flu player that I played against where he ended on M-Pen and with the trap, the Dreaming Town. I set 4, I attempt to end turn. I had this in hand. He activates Dreaming Town, I negate with Epsilon. I summon Epsilon Driver. Still my main phase. I make Omega in defense position because of M-Pen, right? And then Omega rips a card from their hand. And then they have no follow-ups because they couldn't go into another Robina, Eaglin, Search a Big Bird play. So yeah, this card is so good. Please play this card. It was not an MVP card of the deck, but it was an MVP card of the side deck because of how useful it and how many times it came up. So that's my deck for day 1 of YCS. All right, so now I'm going to talk about my losses in the first day of YCS, and what prompted me to make the changes to the main deck that I did going into day 2. So my very first match, believe it or not, was against Flandres. So it was against Flandres player where I do lose the coin toss, and my opening hand is I won the coin toss. I go first. My opening hand was interesting. My opening hand consisted of 1 Lord, 1 Lady, I want to say, 1 Solemn Strike, 1 Torrential Tribute, and 1 Evenly Matched. So not a great hand. I mean, Torrential Tribute and Solemn Strike are typically great together. Because this can clear their field and this can deal with a monster, like an annoying monster, right? So, and obviously evenly does nothing. So I activate Lord. I have 2 in hand. I set Torrential Solemn Strike. They're a Flandres player, so they go. They open map. So terraforming into map. Activate map, and then they use map to reveal Stree in hand. So here's the thing, folks. If you're a Flandres player and you have map plus another bird, almost every other bird in hand is better than Stree for map, right? If you have map with Robina, you map with Robina because you want to chain block Robina. If you have map with Eaglin, you map with Eaglin because you want to chain block Eaglin. If you map with Token, then it's good because you can search any card that you banish and grab it off Token right away. So typically, if a flu player opens map and reveals Stree, that typically means that that's the only little bird in hand. It's very odd that they would go Stree, unless they were against an opponent that has DPE and you want to banish the DP from the graveyard. But against my field, right? There's no point in going Stree because I have nothing in my graveyard, and the only thing in their graveyard is terraforming, right? So yeah, so they map Stree, they banish Robina, Stree 1, Robina 2, Robina comes back, summon Robina, Robina 1. Eaglin comes out, so they have Stree, Robina, and then they just normal Eaglin. They say Eaglin 1. At this point, I decide chainlink 2 Torrential. Now the reason I say this is because there's a few reasons. One, they've used Stree, Robina, Eaglin, which means they don't have 2 bodies to go into tribute summons like M-Pen or Avian. And the only way they could possibly make any more plays is if they have Token, which I didn't think they did, because why would they open Stree with map? It didn't make sense, right? Or, so they have to open Token in their hand, and they have to open Unexplored Winds, and they have to have the Big Bird, which they are searching off Eaglin, right? So I thought Torrential Tribute, when they have Stree, Robina, Eaglin, they've used all their names, was the best point to do it. So I kill all their monsters. They search M-Pen. On new chain, I activate Lord specials, and sets Iron Wall from the deck. The reason I set Iron Wall is because they have map on the board. I figured under Iron Wall, map is completely useless, right? And I didn't think they had any more birds, right? So their best case scenario is to hard draw Robina, or I guess another bird that's not been destroyed. But also that also means that once Iron Wall is on the field, they can't pot, they can't use their Advent of Adventure. And basically, it also means that they can't any birds that they tribute go to graveyard instead of getting banished, which means that they're in trouble for the grind game, right? And then my plan was, assuming they had nothing else and they passed turn, end phase activate Lady, and now I go into their turn with Solemn Strike and Imperial Wall. So I activate Imperial Wall. I swing for 6k, right? Um, and then that's it. I have game, right? Or rather, sorry. I guess I wouldn't have game, but like Iron Wall will pretty much guarantee like that there's nothing they can do to follow up. And also, just in case they haven't evenly matched or the top deck evenly matched, this already protects against evenly matched, right? And also, by the way, my top deck on the next turn was Skill Drain. Just FYI. So I had a really good going forward strategy. However, I lost because what happened was I kept Lady in hand. I summoned Lord. The two cards they absolutely needed to do anything, they had. So he did have a token, even though they never searched it on Rubina. Rubina searched Eaglin, and the token they didn't have token when they used map. They revealed Street with token. So what they did was they activated Unexplored Winds, the card that lets you tribute cards, right? And they normal the token. Token tributed for tribute my Solemn Strike and his token for M-Pen, and then he used M-Pen to get Dreamy Town, and then they normaled again. This time they had a Nibiru that they hard drew. They tribute summon M-Pen and my Iron Wall for Nibiru, right? So they literally tributed my back row and got all their birds back just like that because they had token and Unexplored Winds, which is like I didn't expect. Like wow, like okay, because it's just weird, right? If you're going second as Fluanderies into back row deck, why would you not open Unexplored Winds? I don't get it. Like, maybe they were afraid I had Dogmatic Punishment. But even so, like, you have to threaten it, right? Because, I don't know. It just seemed like, okay, so they held Unexplored Winds for their second normal summon chain, which ended up helping them win the game. Anyway, so they ended on Nibiru with, I think they had Dreamy Town, possibly. And then I just had Lord. So then, draw. So I end up not summoning Lady. Instead, because I have evenly in hand, right? I figured, okay, I have Lord. He has Nibiru. They're both 3k. We attack, we crash, and then I evenly. Because he had map. He had 2 set, I think. One of them was probably was Unexplored Winds. So yeah, going to battle phase. They let me go to battle phase. I crash Nibiru and a battle phase evenly. Clear his board except for one card. He kept I think he kept Dreamy Town, and then main phase 2. I set Skill Drain and I set Skill Drain and then I summoned Lady. So basically, anyway, so game 1 was a grind because I had Skill Drain and it took him a while for him out. He did have an Unexplored Wind, so eventually he got a second map. Map was able to help him tribute away on Skill Drain, and then they were able to kill me. But I got them down to 400 life points, by the way. So yeah, it was kind of unfortunate that like that Flu player opened everything they possibly needed. If any one card in their hand was different. Like if it didn't have hard draw the Nibiru, if it didn't have hard draw Unexplored Winds, if they didn't hard draw token, that's it. They have no coming back in this game. I would have won. So yeah, they had everything, which is weird because like I torrential seeing okay they summon out the 3 birds, like they didn't search token, so I'm just gonna torrential here, and apparently that was enough for them to win game 1. Game 2, I easily won because I got an early Iron Wall. By the way, they had evenly matched against me. Speaking of Iron Wall, there were 8 times in the entire YCS where my opponent attempted evenly me, and it only resolved once. All other times, I negated it with Iron Wall or Solemn Judgment. So most of the time, it was Iron Wall. So yeah, Iron Wall was MVP just from stopping evenly matched. By itself, it was just amazing. So game 3, I lost because I went second. They summoned Darksome Org. Darksome Org is that big bird that says your opponent cannot set cards, right? To be honest, like I could have won that game if that game 3. So this deck does contain outs for Darksome Org. So one of the outs or one of the ways to out Darksome Org is. If they have Darksome Org and other cards, which they did, they ended on Darksome Org in a set. I can go in battle phase evenly matched, force them to get rid of their back row or their Darksome Org. If they keep Darksome Org, I can special Lady from my hand, right? Because evenly matched is a normal trap, and a Lady can swing over Darksome Org. Obviously, that would be on the subsequent turn, but the thing is, like, it at least threatens it, right? The other thing I had against sided in was I had lava golems, so I was hoping that they had Dark Samorg with Dreaming Town because I was gonna attempt to end main phase, and on end of main phase if they try to Dreaming Town, they bring out Empen and Dark Samorg. I tribute both of them for lava golem, right? But I never drew lava golem, and the card they had set was not Dreaming Town. So unfortunately, I did not that I didn't see that out. My other out is obviously this. So I sided this in against Flu because this card negates Dreaming Town. I did see Epsilon in my opening hand, so I did have it. So my hope was that their set back row um, was either Dreaming Town or it was really any other card. Could be Rivalry of Warlords, could be a trap. Basically, I was hoping it was a trap that they would activate. Could have also been what's it called? Harpy's Featherstorm, right? And then when he flips Dreaming Town on end of main phase, I chain Epsilon, I summon this and Driver, and then I negate Dreaming Town. They still have Dark Samorg. I link this away into Omega. Omega's 28, Dark Samorg is 27. So then I kill it, right? So that was my other out. And I did open Epsilon in hand. Unfortunately, the set card that they had was not Dreaming Town, or if it was, they didn't use it, right? So yeah, those are one of the ways to out Dark Samorg. Unfortunately, none. I didn't see Lava Golem. I didn't see Evenly with Lady. All my opening hand was traps plus this, right? Which is a good hand normally against Flu. But I needed his card to be Dreaming Town, and it wasn't. The following turn, they summon Empen, so then they swing into me with Empen and Dark Samorg. At this point, it's like, okay, can I see my Lava Golem, please? Because they're going, Empen obviously passes into with Dreaming Town, right? Again, all I need is if I see Lava Golem, I tribute Empen and Dark Samorg, and then I'm good to go, right? I didn't even see my Pot of Prosperity. That's another thing about Pot of Prosperity, which I didn't mention. Like, yeah, or maybe I did. Like, one of the reasons this was overwhelming is I hardly ever saw this card. But like, yeah, so I didn't see Evenly, I didn't see Lady, I didn't see Lava Golem, and I didn't see like my pots. But yeah, Lava Golem would have cleared the board, and then I had like full back row. They would not have been able to play against. So yeah, I just kind of got unlucky, honestly. Game 1, they had the most cracked Flu hand I've ever seen. They had all the bird names. They had Unexplored Winds hard drawn. Like, they had map. Like, it was just an insane opening hand. Which, granted, maybe, I don't know. Maybe if I was like, maybe I should have held Torrential. Maybe I should have Solemn Struck the Eaglin instead of Torrential. I don't know. But, like, the point is, like I thought I had it, right? Because there was nothing at the beginning of the duel to indicate that their hand was that cracked, and then it was. Like, you know how a lot of Flu players brick because that's like the nature of the deck. This person drew was the opposite of brick. They got like the most godlike Flu hand. Typically, if you open like most of your starters and Unexplored Winds, that's a cracked. And your map, that is like a god tier hand for Flu, and they just had it game 1. So game 2, I easily won. Game 3, I did draw any of my outs for Dark Samorg. The one out I did draw, I couldn't use because they just never used Dreaming Town or any trap. So yeah, so I lost the first match 1-2. My second match was against Dark World. This was the match where I lost a coin toss. They went first. They got their full Dark World combo. They drew like 2/3 of their deck. I was going second. They only used Silva to make me put 2 cards back. So my opening hand had 3 cards, and then I drew 4th for game. So yeah, so what I needed was the main deck sphere modes. That was one win condition I had to break their board and then set my back row, right? Because they ended on Firewall, double Grapha. Firewall Dragon, double Grapha, and then like a couple other beasts. Yeah, I would have just tributed the 2 Graphas and the Firewall for sphere mode. And then like their other monsters didn't have interrupts. I would just have a full back row, right? I never saw sphere mode. I also didn't see Prosperity that could have gotten me sphere mode. I didn't see Duality that could have gotten me either of those 2 cards. And yeah, when I set my back row consisted of like a Torrential, double Solemn Strike, and then a Welcome. So I could have broken their board if I Torrentialed them. However, on my end phase, they used their set fusion spell to make their second Grapha. And when the Grapha fusion regular monster goes to the field, it pops one of my cards. He of my 4 back row, he sniped my torrential, which was a big problem because wait, what was my opening hand? So I opened the turn with 4 cards. Uh, yeah, pretty sure those were cards. But yeah, they sniped my torrential, which would have been my board breaker against them because I had torrential double Psalm Strike and a. So yeah, like I needed them to snipe any other card. If they sniped Welcome, I'd be okay. If they sniped Psalm Strike, one of the Psalm Strikes, I'd probably be okay. But yeah, they sniped the torrential, and then I couldn't break their board, and then they just battle phase for game. So yeah, game 2, I beat that dark world player using that bricky hand that I showed you earlier with double lady, double lord, and iron wall. Honestly, like during this YCS, like especially on Friday or sorry on Saturday, I got some of the brickiest hands I've ever seen. Like very poor shuffling, and it's just like wow, I've never seen hands these bad during playtesting or at locals or anything. Like I typically don't get this fucked just from my hand. And then game 3 against the dark world player, they made me go first even though I was siding for going second, which I was okay with because again, this sided in can protect me against evenly, and they did open evenly, right? But the problem was my opening hand was absolute dog shit. It was my opening hand going first against the Dark World player was double sphere mode, double evenly, and big welcome. Like, imagine you're going first against a Dark World player, and this is your hand, right? Literally 4 cards worthless, and then you just have to set big welcome. Like, how crazy is that, right? Like, and this is the crazy part, and one of the reasons why, like, you know, I like the 2 of ratio so much. Like, so obviously evenly is at 3 in the main deck, and then going second, I side in 3 sphere modes. I feel like if I didn't have that third copy, maybe these would be something else, and then it would be maybe a playable hand. But the thing is, like, you kind of want to run 3 because these are your board breakers, and like you want to see this as often as possible. But at the same time, you also run into situations where you get really terrible opening hands like this, and it's like, what the fuck do you do if you're going second? If you're going first, if I'm going second, this would have been really good because it would have sphere mode his Graphas or any negates that he had, evenly his board, and then I had one other card that would have been my 6-card top deck, and then big welcome, and maybe I survive with just these 2 cards, right? But still, it's like, dude, what are the fucking odds that this is my opening hand, right? After, by the way, so game 2, I had an opening hand consisting of Iron Wall, double Lord, double 80, and now I have an opening hand consisting of Big Welcome, double evenly, double sphere. Like my deck must really fucking hate me, or maybe karma's catching up to me. They decided, you know what, you've gone too long having reasonably playable hands. In playtesting and locals, it's time for you during the big event of YCS to get like these god awful hands. Like I don't know. I don't know. It's just like really unlucky or something. I don't know what to say. So yeah. So I lost against a Dark World player 1-2. Yeah, they gave us a lunch break. I was feeling really down, like because it's like opening X2 is not good at an event like this. That's when I met Milano. He was also X2. He was playing Ruining the Churio, which is funny. But yeah, that's it is just like an unfortunate turn of events, right? When you open like double evenly like that. Yeah, so I won the 3rd game. I think it was against what was it? A Dragon Link, Bishop Dragon Link. 4th match was easy. 4th match was against Ruining Naturia. That was also easy. I hit him with Iron Wall and Eradicator like 2 games, and he just loses. What else? Game number 5. So game number 5 was my 3rd loss, but it was a loss that I kind of threw because my opponent made an illegal play that they were not allowed to make, and it won them the game essentially. So, by the way, to be fair, like in game 5, I still had like a really unfortunate hand. Or sorry, in match 5, there was legitimately a hand, I kid you not, that opened against his player. Match 5 was also against a branded Abyssal Dragon Link. My opening hand consisted of double lady, single lovely, single lord, and I think my 5th card was skill drain, and I was going first into Abyssal Dragon Link, right? So theoretically, like Dragon Link by itself doesn't do much, right? But well, under skill drain, like they can't really function. But the problem was the Bestial engine there are a bunch of big bodies that can summon themselves from the hand, right? And Lubellion, Bishop Lubellion can summon itself from the graveyard, and yeah. So basically, even though they were under skill drain, not able to make any effects, they were able to make Borderland Dragon, right? Which is a 3,500 beater, and the problem was like, oh, okay, I can summon Lord, but like, I still need to out like a field full of big beefy boys, right? Even though they couldn't use their effects, like they were still like, you know, and anyway, so one of the games I lost, because this was my opening hand. I won first game one. This was my losing opening hand, because they were able to just like make enough bodies and then just swing into me, right? Game two, I easily won. Game three was what was it? Okay, so this is the game where they made an illegal play they were not supposed to make, so or not allowed to make. So the illegal play, I'm trying to remember here. I forget. So at some point during the game, I had them under Iron Wall. I had them under Iron Wall, right? So for those of you who play Bishiels and Dragon Link, Bishiels literally can't function under Iron Wall. Basically their only out would be to make Branded Lubellion in the graveyard, or Bishop Lubellion in the graveyard, sack a dragon, and then use Lubellion effect to get Branded Beast, and then Branded Beast can pop this. That's pretty much their only out. But he didn't have Bishop Lubellion. They were basically like, I forget exactly what they had, but also against Dragon Link, they can't use Chaos Dragon Levianeer. They can't use the Chaos Space package. They can't use Safer. There's a lot of stuff they can't use under Iron Wall. So I had them under Iron Wall. I forget exactly what else I had set. But my hand was also kind of bricked. I think this was another game where I opened Triple Lady. I literally opened Triple Lady in 2 high stakes games like at YCS, which really blew my mind. It's like, are you fucking serious? Like, how's this happening, right? I just couldn't believe that I opened Triple Lady in 2 games, right? With like shuffling and like different players cutting my deck, right? It was like absurd how hard I bricked in a lot of these games. But even those games where I bricked like this, like I was still holding on here against with an Iron Wall. I just needed to see like I just needed to see something more, right? Anyway, I forget exactly. It was a close game because they didn't have very many resources left, and I was sitting on Iron Wall, and I think one other set. I forgot what it was. Might have been Gozen. I forget. But or maybe not. I think I side out Gozen. It was one other set that I couldn't use yet. So what they do is they summon Rocket Tracer in one of their turns. Rocket Tracer pops their Boot Sector Launch Field spell, to summon another rocket from hand, right? And then they link into Hieratic Seal. And then on my turn, they use Hieratic Seal in the end phase to bounce Iron Wall. And then because Hieratic Seal tributes itself, it summons out Magnamoot. Magnamoot searches a dragon, and then they're full combo next turn and they kill me. So the reason that was an illegal play is because, for those of you who are familiar with Dragon Link, which I am, but I forgot about this, Rocket Tracer, when you pop, uses this effect to pop a card on the field and summon another rocket, locks you into dark monsters from the extra deck, and Hieratic Seal is a light monster. So they illegally summoned Hieratic Seal when they weren't supposed to, and that one Hieratic Seal won them the game because it let them bounce my Floodgate on my end phase, and which shut down their entire like Chaos Space engine. And also it got them Magnamoot, which got them another dragon, and then they full combo and killed me, right? So that was a fuck up on my. I mean, I don't know if they purposely or accidentally made that play, like they were locked into dark monsters and it went into a light monster. But I should have been like, I should have seen that. I should have caught them with that. Wait, no, you can't go to Hieratic Seal, right? Because they had no other monsters in hand. They showed me that they had like double Chaos Space in hand and like, I think like triple Tactics or something. But they didn't have monsters, right? That Rocket Tracer popping the field spell and get like that literally got them their full combo at that point. Like they had nothing else, right? So that was an illegal play. That cost me the game immediately, right? And I think that if I didn't let them, so I basically threw that. It wasn't until after like I conceded the game and signed the slip and they walked away. I was just sitting there like just really depressed, right? Like, oh fuck, what could I have done, right? I was just, what could I have done differently? And then I realized, oh wait, they were under Rocket Tracer's effect. They couldn't make Hieratic Seal because they were locked in the Dark Monsters. So that was a fuck up on my part. So yeah, if I was maybe less sleepy or better fed or maybe less tilted from, because again, I was at X2 at that point. Like the first two matches tilted me off the face of the earth, right? Like if I was in a better mental state, I think I would have caught that. I'd be like, no, you can't make higher seal because you're under rocket tracer. So that was a huge fuck up, huge fuck up. Cost me the game. So yeah, so like my first two losses were to my opponents just having better hands than me being like having bad hands or bricked hands, and the third loss was definitely me throwing the game and like not doing what I was supposed to do. So anyway, I won a few more games after that, and then one of the my fourth loss, which was also thrown, was against a Runic Naturia player. So the reason I threw that, I lost on time, by the way, game three. I had Runic Naturia under Gozen Match and Iron Wall. Like I had Iron Wall face up, not pop, not chained, not popped by destruction, not chained to destruction. I had both of these cards face up on their field, on my field, and they had no outs to it, right? Like their sides were Cosmic Cyclone. Cosmic Cyclone can't activate under Iron Wall, right? And they have Runic Destruction, which also cannot pop under Iron Wall. So I had these two cards face up. Game three, I had them dead to rights, right? All I had to do was just draw, eventually summon monsters and kill them, right? That's all I had to do. It was an inevitable victory for me, but I lost because the game went to time, and I lost because I had lower life points. Because earlier that very same duel, I flipped Solemn Strike on their Baron de Fleur. So they had Baron de Fleur. They tried to summon it. I negated the summon, which cost 1,500 life points. So Baron is in the graveyard, unable to be revived. And then later on, I flipped Imperial Iron Wall, and I flipped Gozen Match. So at this point, once I got to this point, the game was over. It was just a matter of just draw a monster, eventually like summon it, kill them, right? But I lost the time. So why do I say that's a throw? So the reason that's a throw is because there was only a game three because I threw game one, right? So I won game two. He won game one to being me throwing. I won game two, and then game three I lost the time. So if I did not throw game one, here's how I threw game one. I forgot exactly. I think I had Iron Wall. Or wait. I think I had. What was it? I'm trying to remember what I had. I had Lord of the Heavenly Prison in my hand. I had Torrential Tribute. Yep, I had Torrential Tribute set. And I think I had a Big Welcome as well. I think I had a Welcome Big Welcome. Yeah, Welcome Big Welcome. With Lady in hand. I think this was my... I want to say this was my hand. Which is... Or maybe... No, this lady was a Sphere Mode. Yep, it was a Sphere Mode. And I went first against a Runic Naturia. So what ended up happening was, so obviously this was bricked, so another reason to take this shit out of my main deck, right? Activated Lord, I set 3, and then they started doing some stuff. They summoned Runic Wings. They got their field spell. Remember, Lord is protecting my set, right? And so my plan was, assuming they didn't do anything to stop me, torrential them at some point so that I can stop their synchro plays. Summon Lord. Lord sets Imperial Iron Wall, right? And then I would welcome into Lady, big welcome. Lady Chain sets Virus, and then Lovely comes in. Lady bounces or Lord bounces. Lovely gets a pop, probably on the Runic Field spell, and then on a subsequent turn, I hit them. I attack and hit them with Virus, or if they try to target one of my monsters, I hit with them. That was my plan into that game, and it could have worked if they didn't make certain plays. So my biggest mistake, and the reason why I threw was they had Hugin Wings, and then they normal summoned Camellia. Camellia is a level 4, and then their thing, they had a level, the Hugin Wings level 2, right? So I was afraid they were going to go into Barkion because I did not have Solemn Strike. Wait, was that? Hold on, let me think if that's what I was thinking. Was it Barkion that I was afraid of? No, it wasn't Barkion. It was something else. Shoot, I forget. But I remember I torrentialed here to kill their Runic Wings and their Camellia. I think I was trying to stop their synchro their starters, their Coral Dragon, because Coral Dragon gives them a pop, and then they can then use Coral Dragon to go into Baron de Fleur to get another pop. I think that's what happened. So yeah, I torrential on the Camellia summon. They I kill the Camellia and their dog. After Torrential was gone, I activate Lord. But I should have waited on Torrential for their Synchro 6, I believe. And then I activated Lord. Lord came and set Iron Wall, which was my plan, right? And then I attempted to welcome the Ash. That's okay. So the welcome didn't happen, but I still had big welcome, right? So I can still lovely, I could still lovely bounce Lord, lovely pop, or I can still make plays, right? But the problem was that they had double Naturia Blessing in hand, so they were able to get Camellia twice. They went to Coral Dragon popped Iron Wall, and then they went to Baron. I tried a big welcome. I forget. Again, this was late in the day. I forgot exactly what happened, but I remember that the reason I lost is because I mistimed this torrential. I should have waited for them to torrential after they put more bodies on the field, because I should have seen at least one Naturia Blessing before I torrential. So I torrential too early, and I remember leaving that game thinking if I torrentialed after one more summon, they would not have been able to go make Coral Dragon Baron, which means they would not have been able to pop Imperial Iron Wall, and I would have been able to have lots of follow up next turn. The Runic Engine would have been shut down, and then that would have been game. So yeah, so I kind of fucked up game one. Easily won game two with I forget exactly, some combination of Iron Wall and Eradicator. And then game three I lost the time, even though I had them under Iron Wall and Gozen, which is literally says they can't do anything, right? Iron Wall means their Runic Engine shut down. Gozen means they can't go into Baron. They can only go make their Earth Synchros. Their Earth Synchros are suck because they can both be beaten over by Lord or Lady very easily. So yeah, so that's what happened. That was a throw. And then the last game that I threw, so my fifth loss, was against a Fluanderies player. Different Fluanderies player. Yeah, I'm surprised how many freaking Fluanderies players were at this event because honestly, like, Flu is not a good deck. I mean, they did get a top 4, which is kind of bizarre, but like that just feels like an anomaly. Like that to me, that just feels like that Flu player just didn't face Kashtira opponents because Kashtira just hard counters Flu, and it's the most popular deck. So it's like, how do you get away with playing Flu without Barrier Statue in 2023 in Kashtira format? I don't know. It's very bizarre to me. But the thing is that yeah. So let's go over how I threw that game. So in that game, my opponent went first, so they won game 1 because they had a super cracked hand. I won game 2 easily. Game 3, they go first. They end on M-Pen and Dreaming Town. No, nothing else, right? Not even map. So game 3, I had the victory because basically I had Epsilon in my opening hand. Remember, folks, Epsilon can negate Dreaming Town, and they had an M-Pen, right? So what I did was trying to think. I set 4 cards. One of the cards set was Skill Drain. One was Punishment. I forgot what the others were. I attempt to end main phase. He activates Dreaming Town. I chain Epsilon. Epsilon negates Dreaming Town. Brings out Driver. Driver synchros into Omega in defense position because they have an M-Pen, right? And then I use Driver to banish itself, and then rip a card out of their hand. I ripped out their Apex Avion. So, but basically, I go into their turn, set 4, and they only have M-Pen. They don't have, and I have Skill Drain set, right? And I forgot what else I had. Anyway, so we go back and forth a little bit. But basically, eventually, he passes turn to me, and the only thing he has on his field is M-Pen and another card set. The set card is not Dreaming Town, so he did not recycle Dreaming Town. On my turn, I had Lady on the field. I had, let me try to remember here. I had Skill Drain face up, right, because I Skill Drained them on their very next turn. I had Punishment in my graveyard because I punishment them previously, so I had a Punishment in my graveyard. And my last set card was Big Welcome Labrynth. Yeah, so I had Big Welcome set. So this was my board versus an M-Pen that's under Skill Drain. Under Skill Drain, M-Pen cannot cut my attack in half, so basically I can go into their turn and then attack them again. And I had Omegas banished from the previous turn. Alright, so how did I misplace us through the game? Very egregiously, and I'll show you why. So first of all, Omega's effect returns them to my standby phase. It's mandatory. First of all, I forgot that, and I did not return Omega. If I did return Omega, I would have an additional body. I'd have a 2800 body, which would have just done more damage to them in the battle phase, right? So that's number one. Number two, so I attempt to enter battle phase, and so I forget to get Omega. I go to swing. Hold on, I'm trying to remember. Oh, I also had a welcome in the graveyard. So I had a welcome and a punishment in the graveyard. Yeah, welcome, punishment in graveyard, right? So I go to swing into his M pen. Their face down card, they flip it. It's Icarus Attack. For those of you who don't know, Icarus Attack is a trap card, a normal trap card that says tribute a wing beast monster for cost. So he tributes his M pen to target 2 cards on Peel Pop. So he targets my back row, skill drain, and this is big welcome, right? So what I do is, so Chainlink 1, Icarus Attack, Chainlink 2, Lady, to set a trap from my deck that's different name than Icarus Attack, right? Because it's a normal trap. And then they had no response. And then I did Chainlink 3, big welcome. No, sorry. Reverse that. I had a big welcome in the graveyard and a welcome. Wait, was it welcome? No, it was right. Welcome in the graveyard, big welcome on the field. So Chainlink 1, Icarus Attack, Chainlink 2, Lady to set another trap card. Chainlink 3, big welcome. So then Chain resolves backwards. Lovely comes out, bounces Lady, which means Lady's effect resolves. I set Eradicator Epidemic Virus from my deck, which in retrospect, probably not the card I needed. The reason because again, I didn't see any spells in their hand. Like they didn't have map during their turn. Like I've only saw monsters and traps, so I should have assumed that they did not have spells. Anyway, so this sets. No. Sorry. Rewind. Okay. Welcome was on the field. The big welcome was in the graveyard. That's what happened. Okay. So what happened was. Okay. So I attacked their M pen. Chainlink 1, Icarus Attack, Tribute M pen. M pen, Icarus Attack, target my back row to pop. Chainlink 2, Lady to get another card from their deck. They had no response. Chainlink 3, big welcome to bounce Lady to my hand. Chainlink 4, welcome to summon Lovely. That was a chain. I remember. Yeah, 4 chain links. So welcome brings out Lovely. This bounces Lady. From my deck, because of Lady's effect, I set Eradicator, although in retrospect I probably should have set something else. And then Icarus Attack pops Skill Drain. And then on new chain, Chainlink 1 Lovely to pop a card in their hand. Yeah, that's what it was. Chainlink 1 Lovely to pop a card in their hand. And then Lovely swings directly, attacks. So, by the way, at this point during the battle phase, I realized, I forgot. Psyframe Lord Omega mandatory effect. He should be on the field. So I brought him back, but I brought him back defense position because we were already in battle phase. I don't know what the rewinding rules are, but yeah, because I already saw what his trap was, I figured, okay, I have to bring Omega back, but I'm going to bring him in defense position. Again, I noticed it's too late. I should have brought him back in standby, and if so, I would have had him in attack and then attacked for 28, right? So I bring him back during the battle phase in defense position. I thought that was the fair way to fix the mistake, right? Anyway, I end battle phase. He plays evenly matched from his hand. So I have 3 cards versus evenly matched. So what I did was, and this was the game-losing play. This is the decision that lost me this game, 100,000% lost me this game. So I decide to banish these 2 and keep Virus. And then next turn, what was it? And then in my main phase 2, I summon Lady, and then I also had another big welcome in the graveyard, which I forgot to mention. But yeah, so I mistakenly keep Virus and summon Lady, and then on his turn, he has no spells. I do virus. So I basically have two interruptions. Big welcome to bounce a card, and then I have virus to kill his spells. He ends up having no spells. He does his full bird combo into M-Pen, which basically forcing me to tribute this, right? And then he kills me. The point is, what I should have done. So let's rewind back to this point here. I have Lovely, Omega, and Virus. What I should have done that would have won me the game. So this is why I threw, right? I kind of panicked when he hit with me evenly match, and to be honest, like this is one of the last games of the day. I was tired, my head was throbbing, so I was not thinking clearly, and I was also slightly tilted. But what I should have done was banish Omega and Virus. Main phase 2, Lovely, target punishment, set punishment to the field, special lady, right? Because remember, I didn't see any spells in his hand up leading up to that game, so I don't even know why I grabbed Virus to begin with. But the point is, when I go into his turn, he had no spells. He only had monsters. He had Robina, Eaglin, Stree, Token, Apex Avion, Ryza, and M-Pen. That was literally his hand, right? So what I should have done was allow him. It's the same thing as before, right? He normals Robina. Robina searches. Normals Eaglin. At that point, so Eaglin 1, punishment 2, targeting Eaglin. And then because they have no response, Lady 3, right? To basically get another trap from the deck. Maybe I would have gotten another big welcome. Maybe I would have gotten compulsory, but it doesn't matter. Any other deck card, maybe torrential, maybe yeah. Let's go with let's say that I grabbed big welcome. Let's say that I grabbed my third big welcome. Okay. And then Dogmatic Punishment pops to Eaglin, and then he has to resolve the chain. Eaglin will summon a third bird. Let's say Stree or Token. Doesn't matter which one, right? New chain. Stree or Token 1. Lovely 2. Entis 3, targeting Robina. Right? So I'll pop Robina. And then Welcome 4. So Welcome was also in my graveyard to recycle itself to the field, right? So this comes back. I pop Robina with Entis. I pop Stree with Lovely. They normal Token, and then they have they have no more birds. They cannot tribute summon for M-Pen or anything else. They're done. And even if they did, I have big welcome in the grave. I banished that to bounce that big bird back, right? So the point is, I had game. And then on my turn, I attack, right? I had game. All I had to do was, when he evenly matched me, keep Lovely. See, this is when I was talking about the Labrynth Core earlier in my deck profile. Lovely is like kind of underestimated, even though you kind of hit her. She's just really good because like she basically generates a triple pop thanks to Dogmatic Punishment. But yeah, so I completely threw this game by keeping Eradicator. I don't know why I kept Eradicator. I should have just kept Lovely, recycled Punishment, gotten Lady. Lady would have grabbed another card, and I would have like, without them being able to keep 4 birds on the field, they can't tribute summon, right? So it's just, yeah, it was totally thrown that game. So because of that, I lost game 3 and I lost that match. That was my 5th loss, and yeah, there was nothing really I can do against that. So, but then again, that loss was entirely on me. Like, I had the game, I had the victory, and I clutched defeat from the jaws of victory. Yeah, I feel really bad about it. I mean, I was like tilted and feeling really bad about the tournament in general since the very beginning, right? Because of how poor of an opening I had, that it just like threw me off completely. And then I had to deal with this BS, right? Where I just didn't play properly. So yeah, so that was my my 5 losses on the first day. 3 of them were thrown, like I could have won, and 2 of them were just bad luck. They got God hands and I had mediocre hands. So that's pretty much what ended up happening. Yeah. So then going into Saturday, I switched up the deck and I changed the deck list to be better. So I will tell you what changes I made going into day 2. All right. So at this point in the video, if you jump to this point in the video and you skipped all the rest of the video, I'm just gonna speed run through the deck list and changes that I made. So what I did was the 2 Seer mode moved to my side deck. Because I added 2 cards in my side deck, I have to take 2 cards out. I took out the Witch's Strike because, again, didn't come up as much as I expected. So now we're back to a 15-card extra deck. But we have 38 in the main deck right now. What do we add? I added in 1 copy of Ariana, the Labrynth Servant. So Ariana makes her way back into the main deck. And from my side deck, I moved D-Barrier into my main deck so that I have 40 cards, right? And because D-Barrier, like again, I was choosing between D-Barrier and Virus in the main. Now I can do both, right? And now I have to put 1 more card into my side deck. I put the Labrynth Field Spell, just because it's a good card. You side in for going first, and it just makes all your Labrynth plays even better. Another change I did, I took out Hope Harbinger, and I put in Dark to Dark Charmer. The reason you want Dark to Dark Charmer is because let's say your opponent has Denko Sekka, right? One way you can out Denko Sekka, Ariana, search Lady special, link into Dark attacks Denko Sekka. It's stronger than Denko Sekka. You can also do Muckraker of the Underworld. Muckraker revives Lady in attack position, then you attack Denko Sekka. Either way, yeah, you can't make that play without Ariana, right? So, yeah, that's for those of you who want to do a Denko Sekka, that's what you do. All right, so now that we've shown the changes that we made, at this point in the video, assuming that you're one of those people who don't like watching long videos, all you care about the deck list, you don't care about anything else, I'm going to speed run through my deck list here. And if you want explanations for any of the cards, rewind the video and go back to those cards. So, Labrynth Core, 3 Lady, 1 Lovely, 1 Ariana, never need more than 1, 2 Welcome, never need more than 2. If you don't believe me, try running it. But of course, this is assuming you also run Trap Trick. 3 Big Welcome. And there's your Labrynth Core. Nice, solid 10 cards. Trap Core. 3 Lord. Mandatory 3 of. 2 Prosperity. 2 Duality. 2 Trap Trick. 3 Solemn Strike. Yeah. In the future, these will be swapped out for extra abs. But other than that, this is pretty core. Trap Trick is important because it allows you to run only 2 Welcome Labyrinths. So we're just speed running this deck list. For those of you who want to see the deck that I use on day 2 of the YCS and the deck I recommend you use going forward. 3 copies of Torrential, normal traps. 2 copies of Punishment, 3 evenly matched. 1 Compulse, 1 Virus, 1 D-Barrier. So, yep. If you want explanations, go watch other parts of the video. Floodgates, we run 7 of them. 2 Gozen, 3 Skill Drain, 2 Iron Wall. Iron Wall's the best one. Skill Drain is obviously mandatory. Gozen's the weakest, but also still really good. Don't cut down from this. Alright, that's the main deck. Extra deck. 3 other NT and TIS punishment targets. Pegasus, Omega, Aggregator, 2 Bucephalus. If you want, you can swap these out for another Garura and another Bucephalus, because these are probably the ones that came up least often. Definitely keep Omega. Definitely keep these. Do not mess with these. Non-punishment targets. Dingirsu, number 23 Lancelot, Zeus. And then we have Dark, Lingaribo, Soldier of Chaos. Now, if you own Baron de Fleur, Stardust Dragon, and Excel Stardust Synchro Dragon, what you do is you take out probably these 3 cards, and you put those cards in. So then you have Stardust Dragon, Excel Stardust Synchro Dragon, and Baron de Fleur. That's probably what I'm going to do once I get my copy of Excel Stardust Synchro Dragon. So that's the extra deck. Now let's get into the side deck. Also, feel free to swap this for Muckraker of the Underworld. This is just an extender, same as Muckraker, and it's an out for Denko Sekka. Side deck. 1 copy of the Labrynth Field Spell. 3 Sidison going first is great. 3 copies of Sphere Mode. 3 copies of Lava Golem. You're going second against any deck that puts up 2 or more monsters. All 6 of these go in. Make sure when you put these in, you take out Ariana, because Ariana is a normal summon, and you can't normal summon if you use any of these. And you take out Duality, because duality is conflicts with Lava Golem. What else you take out depends on your matchup, but always take out Ariana and duality going second for these cards. Next, we're running Frame Gear Epsilon. If this is the first time you're tuning into this video, or you jumped ahead to this video here, and you're not sure why the hell I'm running this or what the hell these cards do, rewind my video because I talk about this extensively. This package is amazing. Please run it. Finally, we run second copy of Virus in the side deck. We side this in against Branded, Runic Naturi, etc. Going only for going first. Second copy lets you Trap Trick, and then we run 3 copies of Solemn Judgment for more back row protection. And that's it. That's the full deck profile. That's the deck that I took to day 2. Yeah, so with this updated deck profile, I did a lot better in the second day of YCS. I went to several side events. I got second place in 2 of them. One I lost to time, one I lost because of bricky shenanigans. But I felt that this updated list was a lot better. So yeah, after I updated my deck list to the better version, I took my deck to the second day of YCS, which was the Sunday, where all the side events were. I played in the 3v3, I played in the tag duel, I played in the Win-A-Mat, I played in a bunch of them. I got second place in 2 of them. I think it was the tag duel and the Win-A-Mat. The tag duel we lost on time because I used Solemn Judgment, and they just wasted a bunch of time, and I lost on life points. And then on the Win-A-Mat, I almost had the finals against Kashtira. I won game 1. In game 2, I opened only blowout cards but no engine, and then seriously, it was like double Lava Golem, double evenly, and like a Solemn Strike. And double Solemn Strike was my opening hand against a Kashtira opponent, which was good. I cleared their board, but then next turn they just rebuilt and started attacking me, and Solemn Strike is not enough to play, right? If I had Solemn Strike with Welcome, then yeah, all of a sudden it's playable, right? So yeah, so that was bad. And in game 3, I also bricked by just not having engine, right? I have a bunch of back row, and I didn't see any engine, which is unfortunate. Because the thing is, they had Ash, they showed me they had Ash, but then I showed them I had Solemn Strike. So any Welcome would they try to Ash me, I just Solemn Strike, and then their Fenrir, I had them on the Skildrins. They just beat over me with Unicorn over and over, and I just didn't have either remove. Well, they had Birth, but I needed engine. I needed a monster to basically win that, and I just didn't have it, so I lost that. But I got second place in that event. Yeah, one thing that's really cool that I want to mention is that Tag Duel is really, really fascinating. So for those of you who have never played Tag Duel is 2v2, so 2 players versus 2 players, but all 4 players play simultaneously and against each other. Where obviously, it's a team of 2 versus team of 2, which means so one of my buddies, the one I stayed with, he was playing Labrynth as well. So literally we had 5 back row for me, 5 back row for him. So it's 10 back row between the 2 of us. And the way tag duels work, you can look up the rules. It's you're able to tribute your opponent's monsters and send your opponent's cards to graveyard for cost, or discard cards from their hand for cost to use your effects or link your monsters. And also Floodgates affects everyone. So if I have a Gozen and my buddy has an Iron Wall, that affects everyone, right? Which is pretty funny. If I have a Lord of the Heavenly Prison, or they have Lord of the Heavenly Prison, it protects all set cards, including mine. So yeah, double Labrynth and Tag Duel is actually insanely good. We literally we're bullying some kids playing double Labrynth because we had 10 back row, and then they had to deal with, right? So yeah, it was pretty nuts. Yeah, I highly recommend if you ever go to YCS, play a Tag Duel, or just play a Tag Duel casually, because double Labrynth is really powerful. Also, if I have a lady and they use a normal trap, I can use lady to set a card. If I have a lady and my opponent has, or my buddy in the Tag Duel has the Labrynth Field spell, or I have a normal trap, I can, when I use a normal a Welcome, I can use their field spell to pop one of your opponent's cards. So yeah, there's a lot of shared resources like that that make it so that Labrynth is really powerful. But yeah, in the side events, I played a bunch of Sprite, which I dominated the Sprite player in the Win-A-Mat. It was like a 2-0. I went second both times. Yeah, it was I was having a much better time in day 2. I was better rested. I was well fed. I was more. My deck was better. I fixed some of those issues that I showed you, And as a result, I just won more duels. Go figure, right? But of course, I still lost to a couple shenanigans, time rule, and then like one bricked hand in the finals of the Winamax. So anyway, yeah. But I'm other than that, otherwise, I'm pretty happy with this deck. It's very good, and definitely the deck I'm gonna use going forward, with the exception of like those synchros that I'm gonna add in once I get them. Anyway, so that's my deck profile. I hope you enjoyed and learned something. Yeah, I'm probably going to be taking a hiatus from TCG Yu-Gi-Oh for a bit, just because I'm kind of burned out from the YCS event, as you can imagine. But I will be still doing Master Duel content, simply because, you know, the rank ladder reset. We got to climb. There's a new ban list, right? So yeah, stay tuned for that kind of content. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next video. Peace.